Now, this is case number 236 on the calendar in the matter of Ronstadt versus Nelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Ronstadt, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Approximately May 1st, 2000.
And when did you separate?
He left on the 19th of July, 2001.
Were you both working at the time?
I was not working. He had lost his job the day prior.
So how did you support the household?
I have a nervous system disease, and I was receiving disability payments.
You were receiving disability?
Which exceeded his income.
No, that's a false statement, Your Honor.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
What kind of work were you doing, sir?
I'm a computer technician.
And how much did you earn last year?
$63,000.
Okay. Now, did you move into a new apartment together, or did you move in with him, or did he move in with you?
We moved into a new apartment together. I was making $110,000 at the time I lost my job, and I was receiving disability payments in excess of $2,600 a month.
Your Honor, she was borrowing money from her mother to support this.
This lawsuit has to do with the fact that you claim that you purchased for your joint use a motorcycle.
That's correct.
That's a false statement, Your
Mr. Nelson, I don't want to hear from you until I look in your direction or ask you a question
Honor. Okay.
that he won't return to you.
That's correct.
Mr. Nelson says that you purchased this motorcycle for him as a gift. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
Okay. Now, I would like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding the purchase of this motorcycle. When was it purchased?
It was purchased on April 20th, the year 2001. I purchased it because when I lost my job, we had a fair amount of money to live on, but by April, it became apparent that it just wasn't going to make it. I talked to Mr. Nelson, took a full 401k distribution. I got approximately $17,000 left. I have all the proof here. The bike cost $9,400. I did so because he was driving a 4Runner. The 4Runner was costing about $500 a month in just gas alone. And we needed to cut down on our daily expenses. We could not fork out that amount of money on a daily basis for gas. Plus, he had to pay a toll fee to go across the bridge to get to work. Using a motorcycle, you avoid the toll fee.
So?
So we bought the bike.
Now I'll hear from you.
Your Honor, on my birthday, 4/10, she told me that for my birthday, as a gift, that she would be buying a motorcycle for me. And it's a wonderful gift. Plus, it will save on the gas and all these other things. This was not for our use, it was for my use, and it was a gift as a birthday present. 4/10, we had discussed going to look at motorcycles on the weekend. We did so on Sunday, April 15th, and put a deposit of $100 on the motorcycle in question. We were waiting on the rest of the 401k loan to come in, and it did come in. Sorry?
Not a 401k loan, 401k payout. She got cash.
Okay, yeah. Well, she took that money and told me that she was going to pay the debts that were incurred because of her out-of-control spending with eBay and whatnot, the debts that she was creating, as well as buying a motorcycle for me as a gift. We went back on 4/21 and paid the remainder of the balance. She was talking to the salesman, and I have a written statement from the salesman.
Don't tell me what the salesman said.
This is very important
And the
because
salesman should have been here.
he couldn't come here because he's a salesman. He couldn't make it. He doesn't know me. Why would he take the time to come to the
Not
court?
a reason. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Nelson.
she also told Jamie Curley and my mother. We rode the motorcycle to my mother's house, and she boasted of this beautiful gift that this generous gift that she bought for her son, as a birthday gift.
Why did you leave in July?
We were having some difficulties. We were having a lot of difficulties, and she was adding a lot of stress to my life, and plus my children. She was not really caring for my children or very sympathetic towards the situation between my children and I. She didn't want them around. She was trying to control how often I saw my children and whatnot.
But that wasn't a recent thing. That probably had been going on for a while.
Yes.
Was it going on before April of 2001?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
So what did you take this very expensive gift for?
Because it was a gift for me.
So why did you accept a very expensive gift if things weren't going well?
They weren't going too well, but I mean, these things were tolerable, and it was getting progressively worse. When she lost her job, things just kept going downhill from there. And, I got to a point where I was just fed up and I was done.
Now, one of the defenses that you have to this action, other than the fact that it was a gift, is that you say that jointly you purchased furniture for this apartment that you moved in together, and the only thing that you left with was the motorcycle.
It wasn't, I wanted to leave clean. I didn't want to have it drag out or anything, and we had discussed, she said I could take, I told her three things that I wanted. I'm going to take, I said I'd like to take the computer desk, the DVD player, and our big screen TV, and that's it, and you can have the rest, and I'm leaving. And I didn't include the motorcycle because that was a gift and that was mine, so I didn't ask her, is it okay if I take my motorcycle? I had a police civil standby because her son got out of control that night and brought two friends over.
Did you in fact take this TV?
No, I did not. She wouldn't allow me to take the TV because
So did you take anything from the apartment?
No. Only, excuse me, I took my clothes, my belongings, and
the motorcycle.
And the motorcycle. And the police wanted me to get my stuff and get out. They were there on a civil standby, and I was standing right next to an officer when I rode off with the motorcycle.
Now, who paid for all the furniture in the apartment?
She paid partially, and we had a joint account and whatnot, so I don't know exactly how much of what we paid for.
How much money did you put into the joint account each week?
Actually, I have it right here. I have statements right here.
I have a statement also, Your Honor.
How much money did he put into the joint account each week?
$1,263 every 2 weeks.
Okay, and what was the rent on the apartment?
$1,800.
$1,850, Your Honor.
Excuse me. This motorcycle was not an issue, if I may. This motorcycle was not an issue until after I'd left and she saw Miss Curley riding on the back of my motorcycle. We left the place, and then Miss Rungstad told me that she said, now, because of this stunt, you're going to lose the motorcycle. And that's when it became the issue.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Rongstad is suing her ex-boyfriend, Eric Nelson, for the cost of a motorcycle. Eric says Lori is jealous of his new fiancée.
Is it accurate that he put in about it would come out to about $2,700 a month?
He put it in, but he also had bills that used up all of that money.
I want to know who paid for furnishing the apartment.
I did. I sold over $80,000 worth of stock options. I bought all of the bedroom furniture prior to us ever moving in and charged it on an American Express card.
Are you telling me that he did not contribute to purchasing anything for the apartment?
No, ma'am, he didn't, because I had the cash. I had over $30,000 when we moved in. The only things that we needed to buy once we moved in were we bought a big screen TV, a DVD player, and a couple of VCRs.
Where did you pay for that from?
At that time, we did not have a joint account.
Where did the money come from?
From myself, from my stock option sales.
Your Honor, I also had stock that I had sold as well, and plus I also put extra money in that we bought stock together, and she put it in her son's name, and then sold the stock, and we used that money as well, so it's not going to look like it came from me at all, but that's what happened.
There's never been any stock in my son's name ever, and that can be proved through IRS records if needed.
I'd like to pull
Now,
those
I have one other question. The car that you had, the truck that you had, was that sold?
No, ma'am.
Did you continue to use it for the months of May and June?
Yes, I did at times, yes.
So you kept that. Do you drive?
I do drive, but I have my own vehicle.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
At the time, I had a Chrysler Concorde. However, it was tampered with, and the engine no longer worked, so I had to turn that in and buy a new car.
But
Your
when
Honor,
this motorcycle was purchased, you did not sell the other car that he had.
No.
That car was retained.
That's correct.
Now, do you have both vehicles now, sir, the motorcycle and that other car?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You have both?
Yes.
Okay, and you had both in the month of May?
Yes, I did.
And you had both in the month of June?
Yes.
It was a gift. It was a gift, Miss Rostad. Now, it may have been a gift that you decided should not be a gift because the romance didn't last more than a couple of months after you gave it to him, but that's really not dispositive.
No,
I would accept what you said to me about saving all the money because of saving all the gas money, et cetera, if the agreement was that he was going to sell the car that he had or the truck that he had so that there would be no additional expense. But there is certainly no saving by having two vehicles, two insurance, two repairs, two everything else. I mean, I think that, yes. Oh, yes.
May I
think that it is, no. I think that it's probably not the moral thing to do to accept this very pricey gift, sir, from somebody where the relationship wasn't going right. You know, guys like big toys, so you're going to take it anyway because where else were you going to get a $9,000 present? But I certainly think it was not the moral thing to do. Do we understand each other?
Yes, I do. I left that house, Your Honor, without taking anything, so I
Well, my
understand.
sense is, from what the plaintiff tells me, that she had far more financial resources to
agree.
spend to furnish that house than you did. I was a little sympathetic when I first read your answer, and you said, I walked out of this relationship with nothing. We had furnished a house for $25,000, and I just left with this gift and my clothes. Until I ascertained, sir, that you have children for whom I'm sure you pay child support, that you did put in certain joint monies into a joint account, but that went to pay off some bills. You had a car, you had insurance, you had gas. That eats up what you put in to the joint account. So I don't see that you had a lot left over to buy furniture. Whether it was a big screen TV, because that would have been a single guy's paradise to leave a relationship with a big screen TV and a motorcycle. So I'm sorry I can't help you, madam.
May I please say a couple other items that I was not able to say?
Sure.
Anything that was a gift, I gave him. I bought him Yardrow Eagles. I bought him a number of very expensive items. I gave those to him. Those were pure gifts. I was down to all of the last money I had in my life, my 401k. I would not have used half of that to buy him a gift. Also,
Yes, you did.
No, he also
Yes,
did not.
you did.
Ma'am, he also did not use.
You shouldn't have used, if it wasn't a gift, you should not have used half the money that you have in your whole life to buy him a motorcycle.
Your Honor.
That's not smart.
I know
And
it
don't give me
wasn't.
all the baloney about he was going to save money on gas. Common sense suggests to me that if you were going to buy somebody a car to save money.
Why
so
did I
that-
put it in my name?
No. Listen to me carefully. You would buy him a car for $8,000.
It doesn't get across the bridge fast.
Hey!
He was
Did I
walking
look
to
at you
leave.
and ask you a question? A motorcycle is not something that one buys to save money.
It is.
No.
I
A
also grew up with
four-cylinder
them.
little car just to get you to and from work can save money,
Yes.
right? A motorcycle is a boy toy.
I like motorcycles, and I've always had them.
Good. Buy yourself another one. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's obviously filled the judge's head with lies. I mean, they won when they're purely evil people.
We were next door neighbors, and Lori, Lori won't take any responsibility for their breakup.
I have 20 police reports of all the harassment. A woman scorned.
After I left her, I got involved with Jamie Curley, and she's off at that.
This is case number 116 on the calendar in the matter of O'Connor versus Butler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss O'Connor, I've read your complaint very carefully. Last June, you became ill and you were hospitalized. And you developed some severe complications. You have a child, a boy. How old is your boy?
He's 8.5.
When you went into the hospital, you left your son with your father. With whom?
My 2 sons, and there's another older teenager.
They were clearly unable to take care of him because your father, at some point, gave guardianship of your son to your cousins who were the defendants. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that? When did you take physical custody of the boy?
August 19th.
You were released when in August?
The 30th of August.
Then there was some issue as to whether they were going to give you the child back. On what day did you actually turn custody back over to the mother?
November 17th, 2000.
Your claim is as follows, Miss O'Connor. You say that about a year and a half or so ago, you sold your cousins 2 Cocker Spaniels and they've never paid you. The second part of your claim is you say that they didn't return some of your son's clothing when they finally turned custody back over to you. That's your claim. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Let's deal with the dogs first. When did you give the dogs to the Butlers?
It was around June, early June,
June of what year?
2000, I believe.
How old were the dogs?
One was 2 and one was 4. It was a mother and daughter.
Why could you no longer care for these 2 dogs?
Her dog, Bucky, was a Cocker Spaniel, and it died. So this is the reason why I didn't give it to her. She said she'd pay me back. She would pay me.
I'm asking you a question. You've got 2 dogs, 2 and 4 years old, that are living with you, that I assume you're attached to. Why did you get rid of the dogs?
She told me she'd have a better home for them and that she could groom them herself. It was very expensive to groom them for me because I had it done.
So that's why you weren't able to take care of the dogs. You didn't want to do the grooming anymore.
Right.
Right. Now, what makes you think, first of all, these dogs are worth $200 a piece, which is what you...
I paid $375 for the mother.
Yes.
And sold her puppies for $250.
So?
That's what I bought the dog for.
Okay. I'll hear you. Go ahead. Let's hear about the dogs first.
As far as the dogs, we were there on a Sunday. She was about ready to put the dogs in the paper. And I told her I would take them. Yes, Bucky did pass away. But that's not why I wanted them, is because they needed a home.
Well, what was she going to put them in the paper for?
To sell them for money. My husband was there and my daughter was there as witnesses. She says, go ahead and take the dogs. They're very neglected. She couldn't take care of them anymore.
Nobody buys a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old dog, madam, for $200 apiece. That's where you read for adoption. Can't take care of them anymore. These are adult dogs. Let's leave the dogs for a second. You went into the hospital. You've got 2 sons. You've got somebody else. How come your child ended up with your cousins?
My father took it upon himself. He didn't say, can I have them or anything. He took them out of the home. He dumped out 7 full-size drawers of Gabriel's clothes.
There must have been a reason for that, Miss O'Connor. How old are your sons?
20, 18, and 8.5.
20 and 18?
Yes.
So your father probably was using his brain and figured out that your 8-year-old wasn't being properly taken care of by your 20-year-old son and your 18-year-old son. Don't you think that's possible?
He was going to school every day.
Miss O'Connor, what do you possibly think motivated your father to come and take him out of the house when the mother isn't there and you got 2 teenage boys in the house in charge of an 8-year-old? What do you think your father was thinking? He wanted to do something to spite you?
Yes.
Yes? You the 2 sons?
I'm one of them.
Which one, 18 or 20?
18.
Step up. Were you there when your grandfather came and took your little brother?
Yes, I was.
Tell me about that. Did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, he said we wouldn't be able to afford food for him, so he would come and take him and bring him into a better home where they could take care of him a little bit better.
And what did you say?
I said, okay.
Good. Sit down. By the way, were you working?
No,
What about your 20-year-old brother? Was he working?
not at the time.
So how were you living?
On what was in the kitchen.
That's why your father took your son, turned him over to cousins who took care of him.
But wouldn't give him back.
Well, evidently they felt as if he had been a little neglected, madam.
Yes, ma'am. They wouldn't give him back.
Ultimately, a court gave him back to you. Is that right?
Yes.
But not right away.
I had to go through 3 courts.
But not right away.
Right.
While you were in the hospital, you say that they took care of him for 3 weeks. Did you thank them?
Yes.
When did you thank them?
Over the phone.
Did you say, do I owe you any money?
She got his checks.
What checks?
His Social Security. His father had died.
Yes.
My husband died. So he got the Social Security.
Right.
money. That's what she was getting.
How many Social Security checks did you get? Yes.
Ma'am, I've had him since August 19th. I didn't get paid until October, November. All of August and September, I did it from my heart.
How did you manage to get a check for October?
I went to Rancho Cucamonga Police Department and went to court. They gave me temporary custody. That's what opened the doors for that boy.
Month of August, month of September, she got no money. Where were his checks going in August and September?
August, I'm in the hospital. I got it August. I got one September.
Where did the money go?
In my bank account.
Well, why didn't you send them the money?
I wasn't talking to her by then. She couldn't talk to me.
Okay.
She got too hostile.
All right. A, let's forget about the dogs. You gave the dogs away because you couldn't take care of them. Ages 2 and 4 years old. Not worth $400 or $500. Absolutely not. And not only that, but you didn't even ask for them back.
Yes, I did.
When? When?
When she started talking to me when I had child visitations with my son Gabriel.
When you were angry with her.
I wasn't angry. She was angry.
When you were angry with her because she wouldn't give your son back.
She was angry that I got visitations to my son to take him every Saturday. And that's a 2.5-hour drive.
So that's when you asked for your dogs back?
Yeah, she only had one. The other one she sold.
Did you sell?
I gave her away because she had a howling problem.
Who did you give the dog to?
It was a lady in the newspaper.
I would like the dogs back.
Well, you can't have them back. Gave them away. All right, let's talk about clothes. What clothes do you say they have?
My dad emptied out in trash bags 7 full-size drawers, socks, underwear, everything was taken.
Right.
And when I finally won the last battle, November 17th, I got 2 trash bags, 2 little trash bags of clothes. Plus, it was his birthday. I bought him all kinds of stuffed toys and everything, and I didn't see any of that come back.
How much does Gabriel get from Social Security?
$557
a month.
Yes.
Okay. That's about $1,100 for the 2 months that your son was with them that you put in your bank, right? You put that money in your bank, right? Money that was supposed to go for the support. I'm speaking. Money that was supposed to go for the support of the child, you put in your checking account.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy O'Connor is suing her cousins, Linda and Lonnie Butler, for the cost of 2 Cocker Spaniels and the return of property.
You took your son's money and you put it in your bank account. So if you have to buy more clothes for him, go buy more clothes for him. You think I'm going to get involved in underwear, 6 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of shoes, a pair of sneakers? I have no intention of doing that. As far as I'm concerned, when somebody takes charge of your child because you're incapable of doing it, what do you want?
The thing is, when my grandpa came over, he said he was going to take care of him.
What difference does it make? You're 18. If you were grown up and mature and responsible, and it's the summertime, one of you goes out, gets a job, act responsibly so that your grandfather wouldn't have had to worry about your 8-year-old brother. You weren't going to do it, and she's in the hospital.
He was fine.
Oh, yeah, he was fine. I don't believe that a grandfather comes over and takes it upon himself to remove a baby, little boy, 8 years old, from a house where he thinks the child is thriving.
He was getting fed.
What do you want? Who are you?
Why isn't he? I'm Linda's son. Why isn't he here to testify about this?
I have no idea why he's not here. Maybe nobody brought him here. All I'm telling you is
Maybe he doesn't want
she
to
didn't take... You're whose son?
Linda's son.
Her son.
Her son.
Yes.
Were you available to take care of the 8-year-old?
At the time, I didn't know about it. I was overseas.
So what do you know now?
What I know now?
What do you know now?
About the situation going on where she had kidnapped a child.
Sit down. There was a court order, sir, when the court had at least some facts before it.
Some manipulation.
I'm speaking, which gave them temporary custody. Now, in order to establish that you're going to give a child to biological strangers, at least not a mother and father, that there has to be some overriding neglect or abuse or abandonment. And unless you can prove any of those 3 things, long-term neglect, abuse, or abandonment, the child has to go back to the biological parent, even if the biological parent is not so terrific. Clearly, a court in October, when faced with certain facts, said, we want to take a more careful look at this situation before we return this child, so they gave them temporary custody. As far as I'm concerned, there should be a thank you here instead of a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. To me, the evil snake needs to go on with her life.
He's not the same kid anymore.
He's a very neglected child.
This is case number 439 on the calendar in the matter of Jeffries versus Adu. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Jeffries, you brought your clothes into the defendant's laundromat, according to your complaint. You threw the clothes in the washing machine and then put them in the dryer.
No, ma'am. I never wash my clothes there.
You just dry them?
I just dry them.
So you put them in the dryer, and you
Yes,
put them in the dryer, and you left for a while. When you came back, you found that your clothes had been burned in the dryer. There was fire and smoke. You want the defendant to pay for the cost of your clothes, which you say are worth $500.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has a defense, and he says that you actually caused the fire. Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, that's right.
Okay. When did you take your clothes into the laundromat?
It was December the 11th. It was around between 5 and 5:30 that afternoon.
And you brought them in wet?
Yes.
Put them in the dryer. Were there
Yes.
other people in the laundromat at
Yes,
the time?
there was.
How many other people?
There were only four women.
Put the clothes in the dryer, and where did you go?
I went to the change machine because I only had 4 quarters left. And Miss was there with her child, and she said, you know, the change machine is not working. So I said, well, would you please watch my clothing while I go across?
You had already put the clothing into the dryer and put in your 4 quarters.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I went over to Mr. Dew's store, and I purchased a soda.
No,
and
you didn't go to his, he has a store, another
Yes,
store, he has another
owns a
business.
store and the laundromat.
Okay.
and I purchased a soda and got change. And when I walked in, well, when I first walked into Mr. Adu's laundromat around 5:30, I could smell it burning. You know, just something burning in the air.
You mean before you put your clothes in the dryer?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
There was no smoke. There was just, you know, faint smell of something burning. And when I come back, it was like a cloud of smoke. And I was like, oh my God, what's burning? And I went and I noticed that my dryer had stopped. And I was like, how could it stop that fast? I just put $1 in there. But the machine was still running, Your Honor. It was making a humming sound, but it was not turning. So at that point, I opened up the dryer, and this is what I found. And this isn't all of them. This is just, you know, I couldn't bring all the clothing.
Why not?
There's a lot.
Because she's lying.
I am not lying. You're lying. This is what I got back. All of my work shirts, my children's school uniforms were charred, burnt.
Okay. Bird, bring that stuff up here, would you? What kind of work do you do?
I'm a banquet captain at a hotel.
So you have work shirts? These are your work shirts?
Those are my work shirts.
Okay.
When I pulled those clothes out, I immediately put them in the basket and took them back to the store where Mr. Adu's brother was working. He came out from behind the counter. He took all the clothing out of the basket, and he said, oh my God. He immediately put everyone out of the store, and me and him walked back over to the laundromat. The dryer was still humming at that time. It was still humming, but it wasn't spinning. He stuck his hand in there. It was very hot, you know, and he said, don't worry. I will call Mr. Adu.
Okay, Mr. Adu, your turn.
Your Honor, I'm here to say I came over when I heard there had been a burn incident at the laundromat.
You were not present?
No. I have another business across
So
town.
you were not present when this happened?
No.
No.
Is anyone here today?
Yes, I have a witness who was there. I mean,
Your Honor, that man was not there.
Don't interrupt.
Who was there? And,
That day. Step up, sir.
This is Fred. And Fred?
Shh, don't tell me what Fred. Fred will tell me what Fred. Fred, do you have a last name?
Beatty.
Beatty. Mr. Beatty, are you an employee of the defendants?
I helps him do a lot of things around there.
So you're an employee?
Yeah.
Were you there in the laundromat on the 11th of December?
I wasn't in the laundromat, but I walked around and went through the front. I seen her with the dryer door open, with the lighter in her hand, but I didn't figure nothing.
Liar?
Miss Jeffries, do not speak until I look at you. You saw with a lighter in her hand.
Yeah, I was standing in the door with it open, but I didn't figure nothing was burned, so I went on about my business. I didn't find out till late on that night that had happened.
So you didn't, other than the fact that you saw the door open and she had a lighter in her hand.
Yes.
Why would I burn my own clothes?
Miss Jeffries, you want me to dismiss your case right now?
No, ma'am.
You know I'll do that. But you didn't see anything else?
No,
And
I
you
didn't
saw
see
the
it.
dryer open?
Yes.
Did you see any smoke coming out of the dryer?
No.
Did you smell anything?
No.
Okay, and that's all that you saw?
Yeah, till late on the night where I found it in the dryer.
Later on that evening, you found something?
Yes, after they confronted me and said that her clothes had caught on fire in the dryer.
Yes.
A piece of the lighter that had melted.
Just a minute. You went back to search the dryer?
No, I did.
He searched.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I came in, initially I thought the whole place was on fire. So I came in right away and I saw, she showed me, she spread her clothes on the laundry table and she picked up four of those shirts. Those were those that I saw were burned. And she said, oh, these are my work uniforms. They cost $25 a piece at Freedom Mall. I felt some sympathy for her, and right away I went into my wallet and said, this is $100 for the 4 uniforms, buy some clothes and go to work tomorrow. And she hesitated and then pulled back and said, maybe I may get more in court. So she picked her clothes and left.
Okay.
After that, I went behind the laundry machine to be sure if there are any burned wires, any burned screens, anything, but I saw nothing. Everything looked normal. Then I came back, looked in the cylinder, and in the cylinder, I found a pink spot.
Let me see.
Stay there, sir.
All right. This is a pink spot I found, sorry. This is a pink spot I found in the cylinder, and then when I pulled the screen, I saw those spots there also on the screen, and
Okay.
and then also this melted piece of a lighter.
This pink piece of plastic you found in the machine like this, sir?
Yeah, it was in the cylinder.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vernetta Jeffrey says a defective dryer at Joseph Adu's laundromat burned her clothes. Joseph says Vernetta is trying to scam him.
Go ahead.
And then I also picked up all the lint from that screen, the screen she used. And this is the lint from the very same screen she used that same day.
Feel like a detective.
And
crime scene.
They were not burned at all. It was just lint. So this, to me, shows me the fire did not start from the dryer itself. If the dryer catches on fire, it will burn the whole clothes. Everything will burn.
Thank you.
And on the other hand, with a lighter in a cylinder, the lighter will explode, and the few clothes around it will catch fire, and once the butane runs out, that will be it. And I sympathize with her grief, but I do not sympathize with her greed. I offered her $100. She turned it down. Later on, she sent me a note that she would take $250. And she went to court, and then she asked for $500. Now, I wonder, with Judge Judy, how much she wants now. Maybe $1,000 or $2,000?
I see something, Your Honor.
Oh. Oh.
See,
No,
this
no,
is
no,
what
no,
I
no,
had
no,
to
no,
deal
no,
with
no. I
that
have a
night.
few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you smoke?
No.
Anybody in your family smoke?
No, that's just
Did
me
you
and
ever
my 5 children.
Did you have a pink lighter that
No,
day?
ma'am.
Mr. Adu, let me tell you something. You're not an expert on fire.
Not close.
Right. So there are certain things that you say that may make sense if she did, in fact, have a cigarette lighter that she left in her clothes that exploded. I find it interesting, however, that the writing on this little piece that you say you found in the dryer, the writing is clear so that nobody could mistake this, even a stupid judge like me could mistake this for a cigarette lighter. That with all the fire that was going on in this dryer, and that was some pretty bad fire, Mr. Adu, right? This one piece that says it was a cigarette lighter miraculously escaped any sense of fire. You know, like someone was watching over it. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Adu, it's also miraculous, even in the eyes of this stupid judge, that despite all of this fire, which you acknowledge happened in the dryer, no matter whose fault it is, that lint that you brought shows no indication of any fire. It's just old scuzzy lint. So the two pieces of evidence that you brought that would, in your mind, clearly indicate that this was caused by a fire of her making, I find a little suspect, Mr. Adu. Now, the letter that you wrote to him says that you want $100 for your shirts, $100 for your children's clothes that were there, and another $50 because you had to lose a day of work. Forget about losing the day of work. You should have had an extra shirt home. If you didn't have an extra shirt home, Miss Jeffries, I don't believe that. So at that point, you had $100 for your clothes and $100 for your children's clothes, and all of a sudden you file a small claims court case for $500. I also think that that's unreasonable.
May I explain?
Sure.
When Mr. Dew finally arrived at the laundromat, he came directly to the dryer with another gentleman. They went behind it, they went in it. I stood there for about 45 minutes before Mr. Dew even acknowledged me. Then he came over, he took everything out of my basket, laid it on the counter, went through it. He then looked at me and said, I will give you $100 for your shirts. And I said, that's fine, Mr. Adu. What about my children's clothing? He became hysterical, Your Honor.
He's hysterical.
He was outraged.
He became hysterical. He didn't treat you well.
No, he did not. He was nasty. He was rude. He screamed at me. He said, what do you think? You think you're going to get $1,000 for these clothes?
And maybe a little bit dishonest? Anyway, the damage that you had, according to you, was $200, correct?
That's all I was asking for.
You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I sympathize with her grief. That's why I offered her $100.
Mr. Adu knew that all of my clothing was burnt in his dryer. He knows this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carlson versus Reese. Step forward, please.
31-year-old financial director Richard Carlson is suing his ex-girlfriend, Teresa Reese, for loans he made during their relationship. Teresa says she has a restraining order against Richard.
Mr. Carlson, you claim a series of loans to the defendant while you were in a relationship. Ms. Reese says there were no loans. Tell me about when these loans started and why, sir.
Yeah, they basically started on March 1st of 2001. A series of loans were made for various amounts, including rent, and her and I were on a furniture note, but I do not have the furniture. She has the furniture. Totals up to $1,905.
So tell me why you started to give her money for rent.
She was in an accident. She was not able to work, and she was struggling with her bills.
How did you meet her?
I met her at a local bar.
Did you ever live with her?
No.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in my own place.
And so how much did you give her?
On March 1st, I gave her $300.
When did she agree to pay you back?
She was to get a settlement. She never came through. Then, conveniently, she filed a restraining order against me once I heard that she did get her settlement.
Well, she filed a restraining order against you, I assume, because you were contacting her.
That is correct.
Or in March, we have $300 that you gave her. When did you give her the next amount of money?
I gave her, on the 15th of March, I gave her $225.
And again, you weren't living with her at the time?
No, I was not.
That's not true. Just a second, we'll get to you in a minute. When next did you give her money?
I gave her 8 days later on the 23rd. I gave her $75.
What?
She needed groceries.
When next?
And then on the 17th of April, $165 I paid for her furniture note.
Her furniture note.
Yes.
Just a second. Her furniture note.
Yes.
When did she purchase furniture?
She purchased it in October of 2001.
Did you go with her to buy the furniture?
Yes, I did.
Were you planning on moving in at the time?
Not at all.
We were living together at the time. I'm going to get to you in a minute, Miss Reese. How much was the total amount of the furniture?
I believe that the payments were $165 a month, and I believe it was right around $1,900 was the loan.
Approximately $2,300.
$2,300.
So what you're saying is, aside from these amounts of money, $300, $225, $75, $165, the other amounts of money for furniture, with furniture that was on your credit card?
No, it wasn't.
It was financed.
Who financed it?
They're a local furniture company, and I have the agreement right here, which our name is on it. With both, we're under the same address, and he's signed on to this.
Can I see it, please?
And he's given me a lot more than
both names on it.
Yes.
And one address.
Exactly.
Is that right, sir?
That is correct. Yeah. If I can add to it, you know, I never once was on her lease.
Hey, she don't have to be on her lease to live with her.
Exactly, and that is my
Miss
point.
Reese, be quiet. You don't have to be on her lease to live with her, Mr. Carlson. Let's understand that.
I understand.
Okay. What was the address of the place that you claim you were living and paying rent on during this time?
My home address, 8529.
And who do you live with there?
I'm staying with my mom.
So it's your mother's home?
Yes.
So, Mr. Carlson, it would be fair to say, sir, that most of the time you were staying with the defendant.
Yeah, maybe 2 days a week.
Maybe 3 sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes did you actually spend 4 days a week there?
Sure.
Mr. Carlson, I'm not a stupid lady. So he was living with you?
Yes, he was. And I was
okay, I believe that, Miss Reese.
Okay.
I believe that there came a time when he moved in with you. His clothes were there, his shoes were there, his underwear was there, his shaving equipment was there, you know, all the stuff that he needed.
The reason why he was staying with me was because we were in an accident that he was driving. It wasn't his fault. But I had a sprain to the third lumbar in my neck, and so I was only able to work part-time, and I was in a lot of discomfort, and I needed somebody there with me. He was kind enough. He stayed with me. We were in a relationship, and we were caring about each other and everything. And we were engaged to be married until we went to the jewelry store to buy a ring on a credit card that only had a $250 limit.
So? I
was under the impression that he was this very wealthy guy, and he was very flashy with a lot of money.
And then he could only buy you a $250 engagement ring.
No, that was the limit on it. We were looking at a $5,000 ring.
I mean, that's why you got rid of him, because he couldn't buy you a nice engagement ring?
Well, it just started out like I would go pick him up from work and he wasn't there, and he'd be gone for 2 or 3 days. And so I was telling him that, you know, you can do what you want because I can't control anyone. But, you know, the relationship on an intimacy level kind of ended there. So that's like probably 2-3 months into the relationship, the intimacy part was gone. And I still cared about him, but just not to that degree because I can't control him over myself.
You still have this furniture?
Yes.
Is it all paid for?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson, I don't think you have much of a case, sir.
What about all this money I've given her? I mean, you know.
Yeah, you were staying there. And if you paid for the joint living expenses and you paid part of her rent.
For 2 days?
No, I sir.
A week?
So, 2 days a
How
week,
does that
sometimes
constitute
3
for a
days a
full
week,
month of
sometimes
rent?
4 days a week. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to go week by week and figure out whether you were living there 2 days a week, 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, sometimes on the weekends. I don't think that that's what this was about. I think that you gave her money because she needed it at the time.
Your Honor, may I...
And you were living there. And you were involved in an intimate relationship with her.
The thing of it is, with this money that was given to her, it was all verbally agreed, hey, I'm getting a settlement. I'm getting a settlement in October, and I will pay you a lump sum of money once I get my settlement from the accident.
Did you reduce that to writing?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because, like I said, we were close friends. I took her word.
Close friends is not what you were.
I just don't know anyone else that would do this to me, you know, if you weren't a friend.
No, if you were a friend, you might not put it in writing. But also, if you were not intimate with each other and planning on a future together, you wouldn't put it in writing because you were helping her out, and the anticipation was that you were going to be married and that she would get her settlement and be able to start contributing to the household that you were setting up. Did you write on any of those checks loan?
No, I did not.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number...
18-year-old student Monique Lacey is suing 21-year-old waiter Melvin Marshall for damage to her car resulting from a fight. Melvin says Monique's witness, Malcolm Johnson, started the fracas when he threw a bottle of Hennessy at him.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 466 on the calendar in the matter of Lacey versus Marshall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Lacey, according to your complaint, you were at a bar or a club with some friends. Somebody by the name of Malcolm got into a confrontation with some other people, and you offered to give Malcolm a ride home.
Yes.
Got out into the parking lot, there was an altercation, and you say that the defendant is responsible for vandalism of your car that occurred during this altercation.
Yes.
Is this Malcolm?
Yes.
Perfect. Step up. What date did this happen?
September 29th of 2001.
And who did you go to the club with?
I went with Malcolm and also another student named Tom.
3 of you went in your car?
Yes.
And what happened with Malcolm in the club?
I did not witness anything that happened in the club.
What happened, Malcolm, in the club?
Nothing happened in the club. Everything happened as the club was letting out.
Well, what happened as the club was letting out?
Well, I was leaving. I had seen a female, whatever. She was attractive, so...
Stand up straight. And talk to me directly.
All right.
You saw a female that looked attractive.
Yeah, so I approached her or whatever, and I guess it must have been one of the defendant's friends, girlfriend or something.
What did you say to her?
Well, I just said, what's up, you know what I'm saying?
A Valentine.
Nah, I just said, what's up, you know, stop, talk to her, you know. And I guess that was her boyfriend. He just went through this whole episode of outrageous.
What did he say?
He didn't say really much. It was just like, ooh, he made some faces and like he was really mad or whatever, you know. So I had left it at that or whatever. And we had went on to the car and...
Okay. What time had you arrived at the club that evening? Don't look at her. You tell me.
Around 11 or 12 or something.
And what time did you all leave?
I think the club let out probably 3 or 4.
They serve alcohol at this club?
They do.
And when you went out to the car, where were you seated in the car?
I was in the front passenger seat.
Now tell me what happened next.
There was a police block up ahead, so all the cars were basically at a halt. It was a police block. Like, the police were searching the cars as they were leaving the area of the club. And I seen the defendant and some of his friends leaning against the car. The defendant...
Leaning against which car?
It was a gold car.
Not your car?
No, not my car.
Okay.
No, that's a lie.
I'm going to get to you. Okay? Go ahead.
The defendant pointed at Malcolm, and after that, another guy came through my sunroof and began to hit and kick Malcolm. Was about 4 other guys, including the defendant, came through the passenger side window and was hitting and kicking Malcolm also.
How could 4 people come through the window?
They were through the 2 passenger side windows because there was also another guy in the back, and they were hitting on him too.
So somebody else came through the sunroof?
Yes.
Was it the defendant?
No, it wasn't the defendant.
Go ahead, let me hear.
I got out of the car frantically. I got back inside of the car, and I got ready to pull off, and the other student was pulled out the back window, and they began hitting him.
You mean the one in the back seat?
Yes. I drove forward, and police were about 500 feet ahead. We spoke with an officer. They went looking. They didn't find anybody, so they told us to go down to the police station and fill out a report. I have the report, and I also have pictures and an estimate.
Now, of all the people that were involved in coming over to your car, how many of them did you know by name?
I knew 2 by name.
Which 2?
Melvin and also another student named Marco.
What did Marco do?
He was the one that came through my sunroof.
What damage was done to the car?
It was about 7 dents. 3 on the passenger side, 3 on the roof of my car, and then 1 on the trunk.
Do you know what damage the defendant caused to your car?
Yes.
What damage?
There were dents on the side, on the passenger side where he was, and also there were dents on the trunk.
No, that's a lie. She keep telling excessive lies on me. I can't.
You have to, because it's not your turn.
Go ahead.
When it comes to your turn, you can speak. Okay? Malcolm!
Yes.
Did you throw a liquor bottle out the car window?
Yes, I did.
You know how I knew that? I looked in my crystal ball. What kind of liquor bottle did you throw out of the car window, Malcolm?
It was a 5th of Hennessy.
Is there any reason why you threw it out of the car window?
Yeah, because I believe it was this gentleman. They went, once him and his friends or whatever, they approached the car or whatever, they were telling me to get out or whatever. I wasn't getting out, and one of them swung, you know what I'm saying? And I hit the 5th, so I threw it out there, you know.
So you threw out the bottle of Hennessy, and they were actually standing right near the car?
No, I threw it out after one of the men had swung at me.
Well, you were sitting in the car.
Yeah.
So he must have been close enough to swing at you.
Yeah.
And in response, you threw the bottle out of the car?
Yes.
Hennessy at him.
All right, Mr. Marshall. Now, see, because patient people always get rewarded, Mr. Marshall, I want to hear your version of the events.
Okay, we were at the club one Saturday night. The defendant was hollering at my homeboys.
Now listen to me. I want you to speak slowly, speak clearly, so that I can understand you. And I want to tell you, I'm going to give you a clue. I'm older than 21, but I don't always get the vernacular, the language. So I don't understand homeboy. I understand friend, buddy. All right?
Right.
And I know you can do it.
Well, he was hollering at my buddies.
He was what?
He was talking to my buddy's girlfriend.
Yes! See, you made it so that we could understand each other. Go.
He was talking to my buddy's girl at the club, right? My buddy didn't like it, so he got upset. So he was talking to him. I guess they got into a confrontation, argument outside the club. The club was over with. It just let out. Monique, plaintiff, she left the club. I guess they had a roadblock or something up the street. So they came back through. When they came,
what do you mean they came back through?
I mean, they had to, I guess she didn't have license or insurance, so she couldn't get through. I don't know.
Whatever. So she went out.
Honor, that's not true.
So she went out and then they came back?
Yeah, they came back.
Okay.
When they came back, plaintiff was running off at the mouth, calling me.
Who, the plaintiff was?
Malcolm.
Malcolm isn't the plaintiff. Malcolm was a witness.
Oh, the witness.
Okay, he was running off
at the mouth, calling.
At you?
Using profane language.
At you?
At all of us.
At all. I believe that.
He was. You want me to tell you what he said?
Yes.
He called. You ain't no good, and all that, So I took it personally.
This Malcolm?
This Malcolm.
That's not true.
This Malcolm.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Sure
so
it is.
When they came back through, he threw a bottle.
He threw a bottle?
He threw a bottle. I wasn't involved in the confrontation that he had with my buddy. I wasn't involved in it. But when he threw the bottle, it hit me. Basically, that was it.
No. We haven't got to the car yet. So
That
what
was
happened?
it. He,
just a second. Look at me.
She pulled up in the car, right? Okay.
Okay, he throws the bottle.
He throws
now,
the bottle.
And hits you. Now you're involved.
I'm involved. Yeah.
What was the next thing that happened?
Punches were thrown.
How were punches thrown?
I guess he got in an argument with my buddy, right? So I
Now,
guess
somebody had to approach the car. Who approached the car?
my buddy approached the car.
And what about you?
I was standing next to him.
So you approached the car too?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to play guessing games with you. You and your buddy approached the car.
Yeah.
Did you try to hit him?
No, ma'am.
What were you doing at the car?
I approached the car because my buddy, they were having another conversation, talking to each other, you know.
Who dragged the passenger in the rear out of the car?
Who dragged him out?
Yeah.
I don't know who dragged him out.
Well, you were with a bunch of people.
It was so many people out there, Your Honor. It was about 10 or 15 people.
It wasn't you who jumped on the top of the car, is that right?
No, ma'am.
According to you, somebody also spilled liquid in the car, is that
Yes.
right? That was the person who was on the sunroof.
Yes.
You have damages for that too?
Yes.
That wasn't me, Your Honor.
Just a second.
No, alcohol was thrown from the passenger side. It didn't come in through the sunroof. It was thrown in from the passenger side, and it hit the roof as it was thrown in from the passenger side.
You didn't see who did that?
No.
Okay. So you have damages to your car, let's say, in the amount of $1,632.
It's actually $1,362, and I have 3 estimates here. And that's the lowest estimate.
Let me ask you this question. Any of the damage to your car have to do with the sunroof?
Yes.
Why are you charging him for that?
Because he was one of the people that caused altercation.
What about him?
He was also involved too, but they were the ones that actually started the whole thing.
Well, don't you think he started a little bit of it by throwing a bottle of Hennessy out your window?
No, that was not what happened. The whole altercation started when I was stopped. They seen that he was in my car, and after they seen that he was in my car, that was when they started hitting him. He did not throw the bottle first.
That's not true.
Really? You remember exactly when he threw the bottle?
He threw the bottle after they started hitting him because his feet were hanging out the window. He was trying to kick them as they were hitting him.
His feet were sticking out the window?
Yes.
Was he pretty drunk?
I'm not sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't see him inside of the club.
They were drinking
He didn't
Hennessy,
seem
you
like
know.
he was inside.
Well, he walked out with a bottle of Hennessy.
I was not drunk.
They were still drinking when the altercation happened, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Of course they were. That's why, what do you think he brought the bottle of Hennessy outside for?
Thank you, ma'am.
We had it before we went to the club. It was in the car, and we went into the club.
Oh, so you were drinking in the car?
No. The bottle was from we were at a previous person's house before we went to the club, and
Yeah.
that was where the bottle was from.
Where had it been stashed while you were in the club?
In the car.
Where in the car?
In the...
It was in the trunk.
So I want to know how your friend Malcolm over here got the bottle in the front passenger seat.
He got it out as we were leaving.
You got a quick answer. That's not the way things go. If he was going to take the bottle of Hennessy, he would have gotten in the car. There was an altercation. You want to get in the car and get out as fast as you can. You don't go in the trunk of the car to get out a bottle. And
No, he had got it out before the altercation. As we were coming to the car, he got the bottle out then because he was taking it back with him to his room. It was his bottle.
Of course, but you do that when you get home. Not if you've just had words inside a club. That doesn't make sense to me.
It was outside the club, and it wasn't like we could just leave right then and there because there was so many cars and one way out. So I had got the bottle out, poured me a little something.
In the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just said they wasn't drinking, y'all.
I know he did.
I ain't say I wasn't drinking. I ain't say I wasn't drinking.
I asked if you were drinking in the car.
I wasn't drinking yet.
You said you just took it out and poured yourself a little something.
Yeah. I poured some. I didn't even get a chance to drink none.
Well, what'd you pour it in?
Huh?
What'd you pour it in?
In cups. Cups that I had before when
So
we
you
left the house.
You took it out of the trunk, and in the trunk you also had some glasses for it.
Yeah, the same cup I had when we left our friend's house.
And so you were pouring it into the cup.
Yeah.
And before you got a chance to drink it, people assaulted you.
Yes.
So that the liquid that you had in the cup must have gotten all over the car.
I threw all that out when I threw the bottle, the cup. When they got to swinging, I threw it all out.
Before or after you put your feet out of the window?
When they came, approached, started swinging and stuff, I threw the bottle in the cup. They came back, and that's when I put it out, because I leaned to the side over, like, really. My face was over towards her side of the car, whatever, and that's when I was kicking out the window.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember all this clear as a bell?
Yes, I remember this.
Oh.
And he been drinking.
Okay, listen. Mr. Marshall, you'd been drinking too, sir.
But see,
You've been drinking too, sir, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right? Oh, okay. So, some of the damage that got done to the car was done perhaps by Mr. Marshall, but not all of it. He's not going to be responsible for all of it.
He in fact was the leader of the whole thing. No, he was the person who pointed at him inside of my car.
So what?
He caused the whole thing, basically.
I don't think
Since
so.
he pointed, he showed them where Mr. Johnson was.
So he has to be responsible for part of this damage, but you certainly know some of the other people, and you know the rest of them, right?
I know some of them, y'all.
Good, perfect. We know one of them's name is Marco, because that's somebody that you know who you can sue, right?
Yes.
That's one. And the person who was on the roof of the car, who was that?
I don't know. I was drinking, y'all.
This is going to get you off the hook, Mr. Marshall, for some money.
Names, one of them was Jason.
Jason what?
Huh?
Jason what?
Jason what?
Where do you know him from?
I know him from where I'm from.
You work with him? Do you know
No,
him
I
from
don't
school?
work with him. Just know him.
Just know him?
Just know him.
You know a Jason?
No.
Who else?
Another one was Sylvester. That was the one that he got into it with.
Oh, Sylvester. That's who we want to know. What's Sylvester's last name?
Excuse me, ma'am, he is lying, because I spoke with the officer who was there on the point, and he gave me a couple of the other names. I don't know them, but the officer was a person that was from Tuskegee, and he knew a couple of their grandmothers. He knew their first and last names, and Jason wasn't mentioned. I have a police report with names on there.
Stay there.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I don't do much, but...
That's not true.
It was about 10 or 15 people, y'all.
You know somebody by the name of Jeter?
I know him, yeah.
Jeter have a last name?
That's his last name.
His last name is Jeter?
Yeah.
What about Tommy?
No, I don't know that.
Chris?
I don't know Chris.
Did the person who you got into the fight with in the club about the girlfriend, was he one of the people out of the car?
I didn't get into it with anyone in the club.
I don't mean fight, I mean an argument.
I'm
verbal.
saying I didn't get into it with
Verbal.
anyone in
Verbal
the club.
altercation.
It was-
On the way outside of the club.
Yes, he was out there.
What did he do?
He was swinging and, swinging at me and everything.
He was swinging at you?
Yeah.
Where was he standing with relation to where he was standing?
From what I remember, they were on the side, like on the passenger side, right there.
Let me see the estimates for your car, please.
And I also have a lease for the car, because the car is on a lease agreement.
The windshield glass was broken?
Yes.
Who broke the windshield glass?
That happened as I was pulling out.
Well, how did that happen?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
They were drunk, y'all.
Who was drunk?
Both of them.
Ma'am, I was the designated driver for the night, so I had no alcohol in my system.
I don't think she was drunk, sir, and you don't even know that, so why would you say that?
I saw her with a cup, y'all.
That doesn't mean she was drunk.
She was drinking.
It doesn't mean she was drunk. She didn't start up with you. All you guys were the ones who caused the trouble. That testosterone out there, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I tell you this, Mr. Marshall. We know one other person's name, and that's Marco. And if he was jumping up and down on the hood of the car, may have also scratched or cracked the windshields. That's a possibility.
What he told another person was that it was not his fault, and I shouldn't have had, excuse my French, his in my car in the first place.
Well, then I think you have to sue him.
I'm pressing charges.
Good. Because Mr. Marshall here, I mean, he knows Sylvester, he knows Jason, so he's going to have to go after them for his half of this damage, and I'm going to give you half of what it's going to cost to fix your car. You go after Marco for the other half. And if Mr. Marshall wants to recoup any of his losses, he'll go after old Sylvester and Mr. Jason. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $681. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Johnson before 49 on the calendar in the matter of Bayer versus Borowski. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Byer, the defendant was a former employee of yours. She no longer works for you. She was terminated by you. It is your claim that while she was working for you, she misappropriated funds from your business. The defendant says she didn't do it. When did she start to work for you?
She started to work for me approximately 4/10 in the year of 2000.
And what was her job?
She was a secretary office manager.
What kind of business do you have?
I have a heating and air conditioning company and a real estate development corporation.
What were her duties?
She would do most of the office management work, write checks, mail letters, type things on the computer, answer the phones, things like that.
When was she terminated?
11/18/01.
Why?
Her annual review was 8/01, and at that time her job duties were lacking in her responsibilities of her job, and she had a poor review at that time. And with that review, I also began noticing that she was having many problems with taking paper, faxing copies of her husband's job resume, and stealing other items.
What other items?
I have some evidence here. We have QuickBooks. She was writing rebate checks to herself so that she could get the checks rebated in her own name.
That is totally untrue.
That's not what you're suing her for.
No, but it's part of the history of the evidence.
Okay. When did you discover that she had used company funds for her own purposes?
In February of the following year.
February of 02. Okay. Let me see proof.
Here's evidence of the order form.
What are these things? Chanel throws, baskets, Pooh honey pot lamp, Pooh prints.
Things that we wouldn't use in the heating company business, ma'am.
Are all of these things bills that are attributed to her?
If you'll notice, the person who placed the order is on the invoice.
Yes.
And they were all ordered by her.
Okay, and you're saying that the items that were ordered
Yes, ma'am.
were not items that you use in your business?
We do not use Chanel pillowcases in heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
And Pooh bear cups, we don't use those either.
I'd like her to take a look at these, please. Have you ever seen these?
Absolutely. I'm not denying that I didn't order them, but they certainly didn't go home with me.
So you're not denying that you ordered these things?
Correct, ma'am.
And she would order things from this company for your business, but you say not these things.
No, we don't ever use that supplier. There's nothing that we could ever order through them for our
So
company.
you never used these people? All
I
right.
didn't know
Fine.
the company existed.
Ms. Borowski, you ordered them.
Correct, ma'am.
Why?
To the best of my knowledge that I can recall, I must have been asked to order them by Mr. Byer. I did a lot of ordering of a lot of different things. On an occasion that I can recall off the top of my head, I ordered a necklace for his girlfriend's birthday on company funds. There were several things that were ordered through that business that were on company funds. My husband, which was working part-time for the business, in fact, did deliver to Mr. Byer's home. Lots of things would come in and be delivered to the business and would go to his home.
Madam, when somebody asks you in your capacity as office manager, I mean, there are a lot of things here. There's not one or two items. There are a lot of little items. But you would get an order form for these things, correct?
They were all ordered over the internet. In my research and finding out what happened after the fact, I talked to the company. I had them send me copies of the faxes, which I have here, of what happened. She ordered them during the day on the internet at the office because it came to the internet address of our office. And the internet address is Jessica Borowski. And I have that here also.
Not your company.
She used the internet office name Jessica Borowski on our internet at the office.
Why did you do that?
I can't recall ordering anything off of the internet.
Can I see?
And they will not ship unless it's to an office.
These were all done within a relatively short period of time.
Excuse me, they were all ordered the same day. The shipping dates are different. But they were all ordered on one order. And how I found out that I was liable, the bill kept coming for the shipping charges. And at what time, when the bill kept coming, I kept sending the bill to her house. She refused to pay the bill. I saw my company name of GBR on the invoice, so I opened it up and found out that it was billed to me. I called the supplier up to find out what happened. And they told me, well, it was ordered during the day. Your company is responsible for the bill. I said, I never ordered these items. And they said, well, yes, you do, because it came to your company.
Okay, I want you very carefully, Ms. Borowski, to look over these items because they were, in fact, all ordered in November. They are all household items. Hands-free mini phone, an over-the-sink organizer. Clearly somebody was furnishing up a house.
Mr. Byer was building a house at that time. I do have pictures of that.
You don't need these things when you're building a house. These are things that you order when you already have the house built and you're accessorizing the house. So we're not talking about one item in 1 month, then another item another month. We're talking about somebody placing an order for all of these things. So you tell me, Ms. Borowski, why you think that Mr. Byer would pursue this matter, since he says, and I believe him, that he didn't get any of these things. But why do you think he would accuse you of doing this?
That I'm not sure why he would accuse me personally. I mean, well, I worked for him, so. But he ordered several things from several different companies all the time that were delivered to the business.
Several and not 35 items, all ordered the same day, all domestic products, Ms. Borowski.
I'm telling you that I mean, those are not mine. Those are not mine.
Go ahead.
I have the coup de grace here, ma'am. This is a check that she wrote in her own handwriting and signed my name to the bottom of the check register. When she was terminated, the check register came up missing, and I'd like to also submit that there's also several other checks that you can see the difference in the handwriting and the signature on the bottom of the check.
I was authorized to sign checks.
You were authorized to sign checks in whose name?
In his name.
You were authorized to sign his name?
He gave me permission to sign checks when things arose that he wasn't able to be at the office to sign a check for something, that I was instructed to sign his name to a check.
Is that right?
She did sign when we were out of the office, sometimes on an occasional basis. I will not deny that. It was with prior approval. Your Honor, I would not order a bunch of gifts for myself or my household and then sue her because I didn't get them, or just to sue her for the money.
So you wrote out a check for all these items and signed his name to it?
I could have wrote that check. I'm not denying that fact at all, ma'am.
Let's take a look.
Your Honor.
For the exact amount of the order, $676.
I'm not denying that I could have wrote that check.
After she was terminated, Your Honor, the packages came in. If you look from the order shipping dates, the packages came in a staggered amount. She was already terminated. She was no longer there. Her husband came in, Jeff, and picked up the package as they came in. They started strolling in.
You mean he actually came into the place and picked up packages that were
We
marked
called
for
them
her?
to come and pick them up. Yes, that's true. And he picked up, and I didn't know that I had paid for them until February.
Now, I'm not denying that I ordered things from that company, but they certainly weren't anything that was on there. And I have a refund check that was sent to me that I paid for my part, and I overpaid them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeff Byer says he fired Jessica Borowski after he found out she was ordering things off the internet and paying for them with company funds. Jessica says Jeff ordered those items for his girlfriend.
Mr. Byer, is this a company that you ever deal with?
I never knew they existed until I got the billing.
You've gone over all of your back bills from the company to see whether you ever dealt with this particular company, and you did not.
No, I never knew they existed.
And the only order that came in was this order that was shipped on different dates, but all to her attention.
Exactly.
And after she was terminated, you called the house and said, come in, you've got some packages here.
Right.
And he came to pick them up.
Yes, they came in staggered. So we had to call him several times. When the billing kept coming, we kept sending the bill to her, and she refused to pay.
Now she's going to pay judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $676. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was the only employee there handling his finances. There was nobody else to hold responsible.
Evidence in this case shows that she's a pathological liar.
He was wanting to hold me responsible for his mistake of not depositing enough money.
It's a shame that you trust people and you pay them to do a job and then they steal from you.
People should be more careful who they do business with, because this guy really is a crook.
Just watch over your shoulder.
And now...
This is case number 508 on the calendar in the matter of Britton versus Simmons. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Britton, you've known the defendant a long time and you were friends. According to you, you claim a series of loans to him. He says that you did buy some Christmas gifts for him and for his children, but none of this was by way of a loan. It was all gifts. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long have you known him?
About 10 years.
And when for the first time do you claim you gave him a loan?
In October of 2001.
Tell me about it.
him and his friend had went out to a club, and he was too intoxicated to drive. And his friend drove his car, and they got pulled over. And his friend was on a restricted license, and they towed his car. And he did not have the money to get the car out of tow, so I let him borrow.
So you weren't with him?
No.
He contacted you in some way. How did he contact you?
He called me the next day after it had happened.
And what did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
He was just like, babe, my car got towed, and he was just going on and on. He was really upset.
He called you up and said, babe, my car got towed.
And told me the story of how he was too drunk to drive, and his friend had drove the car. They got pulled over, and could I come get him?
And where was he?
He was at his mother's house.
So did you go and pick him up at his mother's house?
I went and picked him up.
And where did you take him?
He dropped me off at my cousin's house. So I spent the day at my cousin's house, and he came back and got me later.
So he took your car?
He took my car.
She willingly gave me the car.
It wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I still didn't hear anything about money. What caused you to go and get the money?
He said, I do not have all of the money to get my car out of tow. He had about $100 and maybe $50. It was about $300 and something to get his car out. He said, can I borrow $200 until I get paid, which he got paid that Friday. So can he borrow the money until Friday to get his car out of tow?
And you said yes?
Yes.
Okay. When was the next loan you made to him?
Christmas time.
Tell me about that loan.
The loan came about when it was coming time for Christmas, and I knew he's a waiter. He does not make that much money.
Hold on, man. First.
And so he hadn't already paid me the other money. So in conversations, I would ask him about the money.
What happened when the 2 weeks went by? You said he was going to get paid in 2 weeks?
Okay.
You didn't get your money?
2 days after he got his car out of tow, his friend that he was with that got his car towed, his sister had got killed. And he basically watched this girl grow up. So he wasn't going to work. He was really, really depressed. He wasn't going to work because he was with his friend and his family. So at that point, I understood that he wasn't going to work to make any money to pay me back.
So what happened Christmas time?
So this whole time, me and him are dating. I'm around his kids and everything. So I'm asking him, you know, when is he going to start doing his Christmas shopping? I don't know. I don't have the money right now to go Christmas shopping. So I asked him, well, do you want us to just go on and go, and then when you get paid, you can just pay me when you get paid for whatever we get? Because Christmas time, you have kids. You do not want to wait till the last minute to go get their presents. By the time he was going to go.
Miss Britton, so you gave him your credit card and you went out.
No, I didn't give him my credit card.
So you gave him cash to go?
No, I went shopping for the kids.
You did?
I went shopping for the kids.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah.
You don't get paid back for that.
Well, evidently.
Evidently, I'm telling you, if somebody borrows $200 in October and then gets very depressed and doesn't go to work for a couple of months, and then goes back to work and has no money not only to pay you back, but you decide that the children should have Christmas presents because it's coming to be Christmas and it's a nice thing for the children to have Christmas presents. If you go buy them Christmas presents and sign the card, "Love, Daddy," that's your problem.
I didn't
That's your
sign
problem.
any card.
Fine. You just gave it to him and he gave it to the children?
He came and picked it up, and he gave me some money that day, actually on the clothes that I had bought.
Good. So let's deal with the $200. Let me hear, Mr. Simmons, about this $200 that she gave you to get your car out of tow. Please stop smiling.
What happened was my car did get towed. I tried to do the right thing by not driving under the influence of alcohol. I mean, you know, and I didn't know my friend didn't have a valid license. He had a license.
I don't give a rat's behind about the circumstances,
I know.
sir. You took $200 from her to get your car out of tow. So I want you to tell me how that came about.
Well, basically, it came about as, to make a long story short,
No.
as long as I'm spending time with her, I can have what I want.
When you got your car towed, first of all,
Yes,
your
ma'am.
smiling irritated me so badly. I just
I
threw
apologize.
my joint out.
I apologize. I apologize.
Mr. Simmons, listen
Yes,
to me
ma'am.
very carefully, sir. Your car got towed. You weren't with the plaintiff.
Right.
At some point, she had to find out that your car... Stand up. that your car got towed and that you didn't have money to get it out.
Right.
So how did she find out?
She called me that morning, and she's like, what's wrong with you? Why you sound like that? This and this and that. And I told her what happened.
So you told her that your car got impounded.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else did you tell her?
That, you know, I don't know how I'm going to get it out, whatever, you know, we'll do and whatnot. And she
What
offered...
do and what not? What does that mean, what do and what not?
I got to figure out a way to get my car out.
Oh.
Because I have to go to the police department and talk to the chief or whoever handles that and let them know, you know, like a little hearing and tell them, you know, I wasn't trying to drive an influence, all that stuff. And then, you know, she was like, well, you know, if you need it, you can, you know, you can have it. And there was no problem, you know. Actually, she took me to the police department 2 times in one day to try to get the lift for my car.
Isn't she a nice person? What have you done for her?
Well, you know, I helped her mom move before.
No, not her mother. What did you do for her?
I washed her car.
That's very nice.
If she needs anything, you know.
No, what did you do? Not what if she needed. I want to know.
Whatever she needed me for.
Tell me. Give me, other than washing her car, sir.
I don't have finances, so I really haven't did nothing financially for her.
What other things did you do that were nice for her? Did you ever give blood for her?
No, my blood's not, no.
No. Did you ever take her someplace when her car was in repair?
Well, she's always had a car. Okay.
The answer would be no.
No.
Did you ever drive her to work?
No, but I've driven her places.
Tell me about that.
Like out to eat or to the mall or things like that.
You mean when you were going together as a couple?
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to her running alongside your car, you actually drove in the car together.
Luttrell says it only became alone after he stopped seeing her.
Now tell me about the harassment that you're complaining of, sir.
First, I almost lost my job for her calling my job all the time. I have a write-up from my job. You know, my boss telling me if she keeps calling, you know, we're going to have to let you go. And
well, what about maybe your boss said he would let you go because you hadn't shown up for work so much?
No, actually, that was all taken care of and everything. He had
really
no
was.
problem.
Listen,
I mean, I called my boss crying on the phone about my
She wants her money. You should have given her money. She would have stopped calling you.
Yeah, but
yeah,
at
but
the same
nothing.
time, what about when she pulls out a bat on my car?
What about it?
One morning I come home and, you know, I have a female friend with me and everything, and she's at my house because her and my aunt are good friends, and I let her, you know, well, I didn't let her, but she was in my bed sleep. So me and my friend, we come to the house, and I see her in the bed, so I said, well, we can't go in there because my friend's in the room sleeping. So she's in the other room, I'm in the restroom. She busts in the restroom, cussing me out, this, and that. Before I know it, I comes out the restroom, she's leaving, and she comes to the other driveway of my house and pulls out a bat like she's going to hit my car with a bat.
Let me ask you this question. This friend that you were with was a lady friend?
Yes.
She the mother of any of your children?
No.
If she hadn't been sleeping in your bed, sir, would you have spent the night with this lady friend in your room? Probably.
Probably so.
Probably.
Probably
Mr.
so.
Simmons, you have to act responsibly. If she gave you money and what you're suggesting is she had more of a romantic interest in you than you had in her, is that what you're suggesting, sir? Right. Then what you do if you are a responsible, nice human being, you do not encourage that by accepting any gifts which says, I like you too, and therefore I'm going to let you spoil me a little bit. What you do is say, I don't want to take any money from you. We're friends. That's all we are. And I will take care of all these things by myself, even if I have to walk to work.
At the same time, Your Honor, I'm not the first gentleman she sued for loans and gifts she's have gave me, and so, you know.
I've never seen her before, sir. So it's the first time she sued somebody here.
Oh.
You just pay her $200, and then I will be happy. She may not be totally happy because she didn't get her Christmas presents back, but that's her problem.
Okay.
But you pay her the $200. That's what you needed to get your car out of tow, and that's what she loaned you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. Your counterclaim for harassment is dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties
Smile.
are excused. You may step out.
He's a liar and a charmer.
I think she wants me, you know, as a boyfriend or companion.
He knows that I loaned him the money. It was no gift.
But, you know, I'm a bachelor and I have to do what I have to do.
He doesn't have nothing and he's not going to have nothing, so I'm not even worried about it.
Probably won't ask too much from, you know, a female or anything. Just take care of myself. It's too much of a hassle.
Doesn't have nothing to do with him wanting to see somebody else, but he disrespected me.
I'm open to be friends, you know what I'm saying? Friendship never hurt nobody.
You don't bring another woman to where I am.
And now,
Justice.
and now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gomez versus Todd, step forward, please.
Homemaker Bonnie Gomez is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old appliance salesman A.D. Todd, for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Mrs. Gomez, the defendant was dating your daughter. She was 17 at the time, and according to your complaint, he got himself arrested, called you, begged you to bail him out of jail. You did. It was a loan, and he hasn't paid you back.
That's correct.
When did he call you and tell you that he had been arrested?
He called me on June 20th, about 10 p.m.
And what did he say to you?
He said that he had gotten himself arrested for a mistaken identity, is what he told me.
He got himself arrested for a mistaken identity?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the last time I looked in the penal law that that was a crime.
Yeah, I didn't either. So he asked if I could bail him out, and his words were, "Miss Bonnie, please, I can't stand it here. Please bail me out."
Your Honor, she's lying.
Did I ask you anything yet?
No, ma'am.
So I asked him how the bond system worked, because I'm not familiar with how jail and stuff works, and he says, well, if you put up the bond, you get the money back. So I spoke to somebody at the bond company, and they said the way it works is that they put up a big bond for him, I pay some, but I don't get it back. They get their money back if he shows up to court. And so I hesitated, and they said, well, we have 2 other bonds out on him, so he's a good risk, he will go to court. And I said, well, let me think about it. And he
Did you know at the time that he had been arrested at least twice before?
No, I did not.
What was he arrested for this time?
Well, what he told me originally was that it was mistaken identity, and after I bailed him out, he told me that his girlfriend, the mother of his baby, had said that he had beat her up. Come to find out later on, when I went to get a copy of what he was arrested for, he was arrested for possession with intent to distribute and criminal impersonation.
Drugs?
Drugs, yeah. And I supposedly, from what I understand, impersonating a police officer.
Okay. So you posted his bond?
Yes.
$1,500?
Right.
Did you ever get it back?
No.
Did you ask him for it back?
When I bailed him out of jail that night, I said to him on the telephone before I went to the jail, I said, you know, I need this money back. I'm a single mom raising 5 kids. You know, my health hasn't been very good for a few years. I haven't been able to work. What I have is in my savings, and that's what I'm supporting my kids with. And he says, Miss Bonnie, I have the money. I just have to go get it. As soon as I get you, you know, you come and get me out of jail, we'll go get the money. I said, okay, fine. And I said, would you sign an IOU? And he said, yes, I will. He says, I'll sign whatever. You want to put interest on there, whatever, I'll sign it. So went ahead and went over to the jail, signed him out of jail, wrote a check out for what it cost to get him out, $1,500. It was about probably 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And he says, you know, Miss Bonnie, it's a little late, you know, to go over to my friend's house, so let's just wait till the daytime. And I said, that's fine, you know, because I was pretty tired as well. And come the next morning, you know, a few hours later, I made him sign an IOU, which I can't find now, it disappeared. And he left and haven't seen him since.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Gomez says her daughter's ex-boyfriend, A.D. Todd, owes for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Where were you arrested, sir?
At the apartment that I stayed at.
What were you arrested for?
Possession.
Possession of what?
Marijuana.
That was at least the 3rd arrest that we know about, because you'd been bonded twice before. What were your prior arrests?
Harassment and driving without a license.
You don't get arrested for driving without a license, sir.
Well,
bonded.
in Colorado, if you ain't got your license and insurance, you do go to jail.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, but anyways, Your Honor, when I went to jail, I called Mrs. Gomez's daughter. I asked her, would she go and tell my mom to get me out of jail? She said, all right. That's the last time I ever called her house. 2.5, 3 hours later, there was somebody bailing me out. They told me to pack my stuff. You know, I got out. You know, Erica was sitting there, and I didn't know who Miss Gomez was at the time because I never met her. So I signed the bail bondsman papers. Miss Gomez leaves out with us. And we gets to her house, you know, because I stayed like 2-3 blocks away. You know, and I'm talking to her. You know, next thing you know, I goes home that night, and I comes back the next day. And she tells me, well, Mr. Todd, you know that you're going to owe me $1,500 for getting me out. I'm like, you know, shocked. I didn't think I owed her anything. I mean, I didn't ask her to bail me out of jail. She did on her own. I mean, if her daughter did, then that's on them. That's not on me. But I was dating her daughter at the time, you know, and I guess I picked up responsibility and said, okay. You know, so like 2, maybe 3 days later, I had like a really bad necklace, you know.
Like a really bad necklace? What was wrong with it?
No, I mean, I had like, I had
cheap.
a nice, really expensive necklace. It was Pegasus. It was about yay big. and
Probably cost $2 at a flea market.
yeah, it had like 2.5 carats worth of Marquise and Big Ed diamonds in it. I mean, it wasn't like Cuban zirconia. It was retail price of like $15,000, and I gives it to the plaintiff's daughter, and I never seen it since then. You know, I never called the house again, and Ms. Gomez never said that I owe her any money. She never brought the subject up to me. You know, everything was all right from what I knew. I say about a month and a half later, me and her daughter still talking. You know, I comes back from the store. It was me and my little brother and my baby's mom. And we gets out of the car, and this white car pulls up. Miss Gomez is in the passenger seat. Then a bunch of little Mexicans get out the car and try to beat me up. You know, taking off their shirts, saying, "What's up, Holmes? You know, is this him? Is this him?" I hear a lady in the background saying, yeah, that's him. You know, so they run up to me, and I'm taking off my jewelry so I can, honestly.
You wouldn't mind showing me that jewelry, would you, sir?
No.
Could I see it up here, please, Bert? Would you get that for me?
You want to see what's on my neck, too?
No, that's what you're going to give Bert is sufficient. Keep talking, Mr. Todd.
Okay.
I'm fascinated.
Okay. But anyways.
No, really, really.
Okay.
I don't know. Please don't laugh. I'm fascinated.
Okay, but after the little essays run up on me and try to beat me up, you know, my little brother goes in the house and gets my mom. You know, she gets out of the car. My mom says, you know, what's going on? My mom didn't even know who these people were. Miss Sanchez get out of the car, and she's like, well, your son owes me $1,500. I'm just looking like, I don't owe you a thing, you know. Never once did I get told that I owe you any money, you know. So after that, you know, I never seen Mrs. Gomez again. You know, after I gave her the necklace, it was like, I guess everything was okay.
So what you're saying is you gave her daughter the necklace to pay off this debt? Is
Yeah,
that what
she
you're
could have
telling
took it to any pawn shop.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Todd, usually when you go to court, you get all dressed up?
Yes, ma'am.
Put on your finest, right?
No. It's not my finest.
You have better.
Yes.
Really? Have better clothes?
Yes.
Have better jewelry?
Yes.
Where's your better jewelry?
This is like from way back, before I even moved to Colorado.
I'm talking about this jewelry.
All this stuff is old. I had this stuff for a long time.
Because one would think if you were wearing all this flashy junk that, that this would be your best stuff.
No.
Right? No, the best stuff you gave away to her daughter. The one with
It was one of the best.
The $15,000
Yes, ma'am.
piece.
It was one of the best.
Wasn't any junk like this. Wasn't any
No,
glass like this, you
No,
know,
ma'am.
in whatever kind of metal this is.
All right.
Right?
Right.
It was a really good one. Gold
ma'am.
and diamonds and
Yes, ma'am.
and well-cut stones that was worth $15,000. Where did you get $15,000 from?
Family.
From your family?
Yes. My dad had bought the necklace for me at the time.
Really? He must love you very much. Must be very proud of you.
Yeah.
You owe her $1,500. Listen, you get yourself arrested. She's nice enough to come at 2 o'clock in the morning, leave her 5 children to come and pick you up, and you're doing a dance? Do me a favor, return this garbage to him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Thank you.
Please excuse, you may step out.
Give her your phone number.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reininger versus Lignar. Step forward, please.
Nurse's assistant Eva Reininger and her husband, mechanic Raymond Reininger, are suing their neighbors, landscaper Brad Lignar and his wife Deborah. The Reiningers claim the Lignar's dog, Sammy, destroyed their backyard.
Mr. and Mrs. Reininger, it is your claim that the defendant's dog damaged some property of yours. Tell me about that.
Somewhere around the second or third week of February, we found the dog wandering around our home.
What kind of dog was it?
Black Labrador. We saw he had a tag on with a telephone number on it. So we took the dog in, and I made a phone call. The phone number that we called was disconnected. I looked on the computer on a reverse directory, and I found the address. We went to the home. We noticed that there was nobody home. It was about a mile away from our home. And we had left a note that we had found the dog.
And you kept the dog in your house?
In our backyard. We have 2.5 acres fenced in. 2 or 3 days, we kept going back to see if anybody was there. We had also called animal control to let them know if anybody phoned in that they had a missing dog, that we had him. Finally, on a Monday, I had gone by the house again, and there was a car in the driveway, and I asked them if they were missing a dog, and Mr. Lignar said, yes, you have my Sammy. and they have a big fenced-in yard, and he said, our problem is he keeps jumping out. At that point, I said, would you like to come and get him? He says, well, where do you live? I said, about a mile down the road. At that point, he said, no. He says, just open the door, let him out, tell him Poppy's home, and he'll come home by himself. So I was on my way back, and then I saw Mrs. Lignar coming to get the dog. So we stopped in the street. The dog went and got in the truck with her.
Okay, so she actually then came to
She
the
was,
door.
yes, she was on her way there. A week, 2 weeks went by. All of a sudden, we look in the backyard, and there's Sammy scaling our fence in our backyard, and now he's got a longer piece of chain attached to him. So he was with us again for a couple of days, and by now he had started.
Did you call them again?
Yes, we did. We tried calling, and nobody was answering. So at this point, I was starting to get a little fed up, and I said, this is ridiculous. They had told us the last time that they had gone to Daytona for 4 days, and apparently the dog was left unattended for 4 days while they were away. At this point now, I had already contacted the humanitarians who I work with. I work with Animal Rescue, and I work with several animal organizations. They were all willing to come and take Sammy if they did not want him. Now, we started noticing he was digging huge holes in the backyard, and he was digging out our shrubs. And now he was at the point where he was jumping over our fence and jumping back. Then we had a phone call. We had a message on our answering machine from Mr. Lignar saying, I know that you have my dog. I'd like you to bring my dog back. So we brought the dog back, and I guess my husband met with Mrs. Lignar and said, your dog has done several $100s worth of damages to our shrubs, our hedges, our fences, our bushes. You need to have someone come over and take a look at the damages. Well, they never came back. Well, Sammy must have come back 2 or 3 more times and kept jumping over our fence. At one point, we had him in our screened-in porch while he went through our screened porch. It's 2 years old, and it was custom built. The final straw was 2 o'clock in the morning. He came over our fence again, and we have a doggy door because we have 4 dogs of our own. Well, he came in through the doggy door, and he jumped into bed with our 4-year-old and our 2-year-old and scared the living daylights out of them. And to this day, we cannot get our kids to sleep in their own bed because they're terrified that this dog is going to come in and scare them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eva and Raymond Reininger are suing their neighbors, Brad and Deborah Lignar, for damage to their backyard. The Reiningers say their dog, Sammy, is the culprit.
Go ahead.
We have estimates. We have pictures of the damage of what the house looked like before Sammy, after Sammy. And what we did was we just went to a local gardening store and got estimates on how much it would cost to replace the plants and the shrubs. And we got an estimate from the people who did the screen on how much it would cost to
Let me just see
repair.
your estimates.
These are the before and after pictures of Sammy. And these
How
are
old
the
was
estimates.
Sammy?
I believe they told me at the time that he was a little over a year old.
Okay, who's going to speak for your family?
Me, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to hear you.
Well, the dog got loose when we were in Daytona. My daughter was coming over to feed my animals. Okay.
How many animals do you have?
I have 1 black lab and 2 cats.
And the black lab was kept outside?
Yeah, he was outside dog.
Never comes in your house?
Nah, he comes in. She doesn't like because of the dog here and stuff, but I sneak him in.
So the dog was outside day and night when you were away?
Yes.
Didn't you ever hear of a kennel?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's wrong with a kennel?
Well, he protects the house if anybody tries.
It's not protects the house if he's not there.
Well, somebody let him loose.
No.
Oh, yes.
Well, they didn't let him loose.
Well,
They didn't let him loose.
one of the neighborhood kids has let him loose before. You know, 'cause-
So if you know that that happened before, then you should have taken steps and used a kennel.
well, what I can't understand is they said Sammy turned around and broke the chain. Well, I have the dog's chain right here.
Well, we didn't have a ghost dog. It was your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
They did not go and get your dog. So why didn't, when they presented you with these bills, why didn't you take care of them?
I wasn't home at the time.
Well, what makes you think you're not responsible for these bills?
I don't see it's my dog's doing it. You know, maybe once or twice, but, you know, they have pictures every day that they said it was my dog. There's neighbors got other black labs, and they have a female black lab.
So?
Now, how do I know their dog didn't do it?
You don't, except that they say so. Did the Chronicles ever call you and indicate to you that they could place the dog?
No, she did not. If she did, she got somebody else's phone number.
Well, let's go back to the first time they came. Mrs. Reiniger says that the first time she came and said she has your dog because she had to go and find you, you said, well, just open the gate and tell him Poppy's home and he'll go home. Does that sound right to you?
No, I told her, I said, where's the dog at? She says, my house, chained up, in her backyard. Well, if you were going to get rid of a dog...
So what did you tell her to do?
I told her, unchain the dog Tell him to come home, he'll come home. If not, I'll come down and get him.
Is that stupid?
No.
I mean, is there something wrong with you? Your dog's been missing, you're gone. Somebody, total stranger, goes to the trouble of finding out where you live.
This was the second time.
I'm talking about the first time. Finding out where you live, coming to your home and saying, we have your dog, we've taken care of your dog while you've been on vacation in Daytona. Okay, we've taken care of your dog and protected your dog. Wasn't hit by a car, was fed, was cared for. And instead of you getting into your car and going over there and saying, thank you very much, I'm sorry for any trouble or inconvenience, you say, oh, just open up the door, let him go, tell him Poppy's home. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know where she got this Poppy stuff from.
Probably from you.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, right. And it kept happening again and again and again. So clearly, something was wrong with the security system that you had, unless you believe that these people came and stole your dog out of you.
They might have done that too.
Are you under psychiatric care?
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Are you under psychiatric care? You on any medication?
No.
Then you're just being a smart mouth. Where is Sammy now? How is it that he hasn't been back to your house in how long?
It's been quite a while.
Where is he now?
She had him, my wife had him.
Put to sleep.
Why did you have him put to sleep?
While all this has been going on, I had taken Sammy to get him neutered. And when I took him in to get him neutered, he was diagnosed with heartworm. So I had to have him put to sleep.
You don't put a dog to sleep who has heartworm. You treat him.
No, they said it was too
They said
too
he
far
was
gone.
into the advanced stages, so...
Well, if he was in the advanced stages, it means you weren't giving him heartworm medication, which you're supposed to give your dogs. That's what dogs get, heartworm pills. So you don't, especially they're outdoor dogs. Why weren't you giving the dog proper pills?
We were.
If a dog is getting heartworm medication regularly, they do not get heartworm. Unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Reininger, you're only suing for $470. I say that unfortunately because these are the most irresponsible people that I've met in a long time. That's just damage to your yard and your property and not for the trauma that Sammy caused when he just came into the room. He didn't hurt your children, but he came in the middle of the night. Your lawsuit seeks $470. Judgment for the plaintiff. Don't get any more dogs.
Parties are excused. You may step. That's case number.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Wallace. Step forward, please.
26-year-old homemaker Shoshana Davis and her son, 7-year-old Raleek Wilkes, are suing her aunt, airport security screener Yvette Wallace, for causing her son's finger to be severed.
Miss Davis, Miss Wallace is your aunt, is that right?
Yes.
And this is your son?
Yes.
He's 7?
Yes.
And what's your first name?
Raleek.
Raleek.
Yes.
Miss Wallace, this is your daughter?
Yes.
You like him? Yes. Is that right? You play together occasionally? According to your complaint, Miss Davis, you were at your aunt's house, socializing,
Yes.
sitting in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee,
Yes.
and the kids were playing.
Yes.
And at some point, this young lady went into the bathroom.
Yes.
According to you, she slammed Raleek's finger in the door, causing the tip of his finger to come off.
Yes.
And then you took him to the hospital, and they had to find the tip of the finger, and you say Miss Wallace didn't get the tip of the finger there fast enough. To make a long story short, Raleek is missing a little piece of his finger. And you want your aunt to pay for all of his medical bills and for pain and suffering. You want her to pay you $5,000, right?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
You're sitting with your aunt in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee. What happens? Was he in the kitchen with you and followed her into the bathroom?
No, he wasn't. They was playing in Christina's bedroom.
Right.
Christina runs into the bathroom after hitting Raleek. And
She hit him?
Yes.
Where did she hit him?
On my leg.
You mean she hit you because she was angry with you?
No.
Was she playing around? Huh?
Yes.
Sure she was. And then she went into the bathroom. What did you do, Raleek?
I ran after her.
Right. And she slammed the door?
Yes.
And you got your finger caught in the door?
Yes.
So? That's what happened.
Yes. And I'm suing because it's his left hand. He cannot participate in certain activities in school because it's his left hand.
Should have watched him more carefully, Miss Davis. You're his mother. Why didn't you watch him?
I was not in the apartment.
I thought you said you were in the apartment.
Miss Wallace, he was in Miss Wallace's care as I was in the hallway. Now,
Just a second. What do you mean he was... Shh, just a second.
Your Honor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you just told me you were socializing with your aunt.
We was engaging in conversation.
Who was?
me and the other tenants that live inside the projects. There was an incident in the building, and I was standing in the hallway. I was not in the apartment at the present time.
Just a second. You didn't leave him in her care. Just because she stayed in the apartment and minded her own business, you went outside to mind somebody else's business. If you were so concerned about your son's welfare, you should have stayed in the apartment.
You're right, Your
Why do
Honor.
you blame somebody else?
No, I'm not blaming her at that matter. I'm blaming her because we do conjugate like that.
Fine. Well, then why are you blaming her and suing her for this incident that occurred that had no fault on her part?
Okay.
None at all. Her daughter was playing with your son. He ran after her in the bathroom.
Yes.
She slammed the door.
Yes.
And he got his finger caught in the door because he
Yes.
put his finger in the door. Why should she pay you $5,000?
Why? Because while we was there, no one ever, Christina never apologized. Plus, because of his, this is permanent defective.
But
He
that
has to
doesn't
have
mean that
surgery.
just because he's got a permanent injury doesn't mean that your aunt is liable for that injury.
Why not? If it was done in her house in...
You brought your child there.
Yes.
You are responsible to supervise your child, not her. You.
Yes.
If you had brought your child there and said to her, will you supervise and take care of Ralik while I go to the store?
But Your Honor...
I'm speaking.
Okay.
And she said, I will take care of him. Then you might have a case against her for inadequate supervision.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you're there. You're his mother. He's hurt.
Yes.
He's hurt while in your care. Just because you walked outside to be a yenta in the hallway
No, Your
doesn't
Honor.
mean because you left her in the apartment that she's responsible. No, Miss Davis. You're still responsible.
Your Honor, she knew I was going in the hallway.
That doesn't mean anything if she knew you were going in the hallway, Miss Davis. Doesn't mean anything. She has to assume the responsibility and say to you, I will take care of your son while you go out.
Yes, Your Honor. This is how it was.
No, it wasn't. Stop making it up as you're going along.
Never.
Never.
will do
Your
that.
case is dismissed, Miss Davis. I want you to get a life. Be responsible. It's your son. You take care of him. Not somebody else. It's not her fault.
But, Your Honor, you didn't even look at his finger.
It doesn't make any difference what happened to his finger, madam. He's your child. You are responsible for supervising him and taking care of him. And don't make it somebody else's fault. It was your fault that you didn't watch him more carefully. If you did, he wouldn't have had his finger chopped off. It's not her fault. She went into the bathroom. They were playing. She slammed the door. His finger was in the door. You don't make a lawsuit out of nothing. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Salinas Darabiji versus O'Shea. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
All right, who's going to speak?
I will.
Tell me your name.
Jennifer, Your Honor.
This is one of your dogs, and
Yes.
according to your complaint, you had two. They were both the same breed.
Right.
And unfortunately, one of your dogs was killed by the defendant's dog.
Right.
You want him to be responsible for you securing another dog, which in your case involved flying out to a breeder, because that's where you got that dog from, and purchasing another dog.
Right.
The defendant says that your dog was off the leash at the time that his dog attacked yours, which I don't think he denies. You don't deny that your dog attacked her dog. And he is counterclaiming because he said that while at the vet, you attacked him and assaulted him, and he is counterclaiming. Tell me about your dog.
Well, she's beautiful.
No,
She-
no,
5
beautiful, I
pounds.
know. Beautiful,
Yeah,
I know. When did you
absolutely.
get her? Where did you get her from?
Oh, I got her from Tampa, Florida.
Where do you live?
Sherman Oaks. And I researched over 50 breeders, both locally, obviously for me, very far. It didn't matter. I knew that I wanted one.
When did you get the dog?
In the year 2000.
And it was also a Pomeranian?
Yes.
Now, did you travel on both occasions to get the dogs to Tampa?
Yes, to Tampa.
The breeder will not send the dog to you?
Not that small. She does have bigger dogs, but because they are bred down to be so little, when you pick them up, they're about 8 ounces. So they're very small, and to go underneath cargo is unacceptable for anyone.
So she insists that you come and pick them up?
Absolutely.
All right, tell me about the unfortunate incident involving Mr. O'Shea's dog. Your neighbors, I assume?
Yes. And I was not there, thank God.
Okay, you were, who was?
Me, Your Honor.
Your
My
last
name is
name?
Ray Darabiji.
Do you live together?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me what happened, sir.
Well, it was July 18th. My brother and I took out the girls, you know, just like every other night.
The girls, you mean the two little
Yeah,
girls?
yeah. And we placed them on the grass, and no longer than we put them on the grass, his two dogs came out of nowhere, and I immediately yelled at Rod to grab Princess, and she just kind of...
She knew that
Yeah,
the dogs were going to attack her.
She knew something was going to happen, so she really, you know, crept down. Rod scooped her up. That's my brother. And I tried to go after Prissy. That's the one that was deceased. And she was running away from him. And, you know, she had two pit bulls. You know, one was trying to, you know, get me, and the other one was going after Prissy. And...
Okay, so Mr. O'Shea's dogs came out of his house?
We don't know where.
Yeah,
where did they come out of, sir?
They came out of my apartment door.
Okay.
They
Just
weren't
a
pit bulls, by the way.
What are they?
They're mixes.
They're much larger. Were you
Oh, yeah,
home?
they're definitely larger.
Were you home?
Yes, I was.
How did your dogs get out, Mr. O'Shea?
Well, I was actually leaving the apartment, and I have a screen door, like a security screen door, which they can see through. And their dogs were at the end of my driveway. And our apartments are very close together. And my dogs apparently saw them, and I didn't realize they were out there. But as I went to go leave my apartment, my dogs slipped past me and ran down the driveway to go, as far as I know, to go play with the dogs. They didn't go out to attack the dogs. They're not attack dogs or wild dogs.
Well, they killed
or anything
your
of that
dogs
nature.
killed one of the dogs. So
Right.
you are responsible.
Just by nature of the size differential.
What makes you think that you are not responsible?
For one thing, it's a legality that you have to have your dogs on leash.
That doesn't. That
It
has,
doesn't
listen
change.
to me. Listen to me, Mr. O'Shea. The proximate cause of the death of her dog was not that it was off the leash.
Well, when
The
animal control came
cause-
over, animal
the
control
cause-
came to my
I'm
apartment.
speaking. My mouth is moving. The cause of her dog dying is because her dog was attacked by your dog that was off the leash.
Correct. So,
Her dog did not attack your dog. Your dog attacked her dog.
well, actually, her dog ran up to my dog, so obviously there's a size differential there. So, well, I'm not saying that her dog attacked
Explain
my
to
dog.
me how that happened, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, my dogs ran up to their dogs dogs ran up to mine, and a fight ensued between my bigger dog and one of their little dogs.
I don't believe you, Mr. O'Shea. That's a lie.
How-
That's a lie.
What part of
That's a lie. What part is a lie? Part that is a lie is that their dogs ran up to your dogs. Your dogs ran to theirs, ran out behind you
They definitely ran out.
because they saw two other dogs there. Your dog ran out and ran up to plaintiff's dog. They didn't come together.
Well, my dogs ran out, but their dogs definitely came towards my dogs. Dogs aren't usually stationary objects.
I'm
so-
sorry, Your Honor. My dog ran for her life.
Listen to me, madam. You weren't
Sure.
there, so don't interfere.
Okay.
I don't believe him.
Okay.
Can I say
I don't believe
something?
him.
Can
you
I say
what?
something? My name is Veronica Rojarte. I'm the witness. I'm his roommate.
Come on.
Basically, every time that I'm out there with Junior or Oakley, there's been several occasions where her dogs do run up to my dogs, and they are on
Were you
me.
there on the 18th of July?
No, I wasn't, but
Good,
the
then
fact-
sit down.
Does that change the fact that her dogs were off leash and that they're always off leash?
And that they
Let me
run
explain
up
something to you. The
That's proof.
problem, Mr. O'Shea, is that the dog was not killed because it was off the leash. The dog was killed because your dog was off the leash.
Right.
The reason that her dog died is because your dog was not in control. Not in control by its owner. That's you. You are totally, completely, 100%
And neither was
responsible the same way, Mr. O'Shea, as if your dog ran up to a child that was not being supervised by a parent and bit it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have limited patience with people that won't accept responsibility, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, animal control said that.
I don't
had
care
to
what
be
animal control said. You think animal control has more degrees than I do?
And later today,
What kind of problems was your son having with Mr. Atkinson?
They argued constantly.
He argued with a 5-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Salinas and her boyfriend, Ray Darabiji, are suing neighbor Sean O'Shea for the cost of a Pomeranian puppy and punitive damages. The couple says Sean's dogs killed their pet.
Your dog killed her dog because your dog wasn't in your custody and control.
But
That
her dog
was
on
the
my driveway, on my property.
That's just a second. You didn't even see her dog when you Because that's what you just said to me. You said, I didn't even see her dogs until I got outside.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Oh, yes, you did.
Well,
that's
okay,
what
so
you
I'm
said.
inside my apartment.
No, that's what you
Okay.
said. You said, I didn't even see her
But the second I
dogs.
stepped out of my apartment, I'm obviously seeing the dogs and my dogs. So I don't think I'm lying here. I think you're,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
mistaken.
Mr. O'Shea, yes, you were, because you said, I didn't even see her dog,
Until I stepped out
and
of my
all I
apartment.
saw was my dog scooting out.
How long does it take somebody to walk outside their apartment door?
Mr. O'Shea, you are 100% responsible. It's your dog. It's a big dog, capable of causing injury. That dog has to be within your control all the time. If it's not, you are responsible. That's my law. Now let's get to your counterclaim, and then I'll get to the amount of money that it's going to cost to
Can I say
replace
one
that
quick
dog.
thing? One quick
No,
thing?
let's get to your counterclaim.
Okay.
I have limited patience with people that won't accept responsibility, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, animal control said that
I don't
had
care what
limited
animal control said.
responsibility,
You think animal control has more degrees than I do? Now let's move on to
probably
your
know
counterclaim.
exactly what they're
Let's
doing.
move on to your counterclaim, sir. If the animal control had more degrees than I do, they'd be a judge and I'd be animal control. Now let's move on. Let's get
Okay.
to your counterclaim.
So-
I'm ready.
Anyways, I arrive at the vet's office. My roommate James got out of the car with me. When I walked up, she was hysterical and crying and standing with a friend of hers a little ways down. And I talked with the plaintiff's brother. They told me that what the bill was, and I said, you know, I'd like to pay for that. And I wrote them a check right then.
Good.
And when Jennifer came close to us, she saw my roommate and for whatever reason assumed that he was the owner of the dogs. And she was pretty hysterical. At this point, she had already fallen on the sidewalk several times and was crying hysterically and screaming. And she attacked my friend, James.
How
with,
did she attack James?
Well, she ran up to him, screaming and saying various things about her dog dying. And with closed fists, started hitting him in the head, in the face and neck. And James, to his credit, put his hands up and just stood there and didn't do anything. And this went on for about 25 seconds until somebody pulled her off of him. At which point, somebody, I guess, explained to her that they weren't James's dogs, but they were my dogs. At which point she came after me. And she started hitting me about the face and neck with closed fists. And I also raised my hands to protect myself because she swings pretty good.
Okay, Ms. Salinas, let me hear about it.
I'm not going to deny what I had done, but I was nuts.
Okay,
These
yes,
dogs-
Ms. Salinas, that's no excuse.
No, these dogs.
That's absolutely no excuse.
No, there is not. You're absolutely right. And the next day, I called him. My girlfriend that I was down the street with, I was holding her so tight, I left my nail marks in her back.
Ms. Salinas.
No, I understand. I called him the next day, and I said, Sean, excuse me, he did not call me. My dog is dead. I saw what I had done. I took responsibility for, I realized then what I had done. I took responsibility for what I did. I called Sean and I said, Sean, please excuse my behavior from last night. I would never react that way. These are my little girls. These are my life. Please understand that. And he said, Jennifer, I understand. I would never, expect anything less than that. And he,
Ms. Salinas.
To be attacked?
Yeah,
I
that's
doubt
exactly
that
what
I
you
would
said.
say
You
anything.
understood, Sean.
I
Don't.
understand somebody being upset
Just a
about
second.
losing their dog.
No, I agree that
But
this
assault, there's
this
no excuse for
unacceptable
assault.
behavior. I do agree with you 100%.
You have photographs of your injuries, sir?
No, I don't actually.
No, of course, because he had no injuries.
How much did you pay for the dog, Ms. Salinas?
$1,200.
You have the bill? You purchased the dog in August of 2002?
That's correct. This is for our new dog that we just. I borrowed the money from my parents to.
You purchased a new dog. This is for a new dog that
That's
you
for
purchased.
the new dog.
How much was the dog that was killed?
$1,200.
$1,200.
Yes, ma'am. It's the same amount.
Do you have a receipt
Same
for that?
breeder.
I believe that that's probably true. Beautiful animal.
Thank you.
And the plane ticket was how much?
$800.
You have a receipt for that?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
Since my parents paid for my ticket, I don't have my receipt, but his, which we obviously flew the same flight, so we had a problem getting her copy.
There you go.
These are all the other.
These are all the other receipts.
For what?
For rent-a-car
over in
No, not to mention the, after Priscilla died, we had her cremated.
Delta Airlines. I have $408.
Right, and for his ticket. And then I don't have a copy of my mother's credit
Well,
card.
what's $800?
For both of our tickets.
You don't both have to go and get the dog.
Well, it's our dog. We wanted to pick her out together.
Listen, Miss Salinas, He's not paying for you going as a couple.
Fine.
That's $1,600. That's for the dog and your plane ticket. Now, Mr. O'Shea, did you seek medical attention for
No,
any
I
of your
didn't.
injuries? Did you have any marks as a result of the injury?
I did have bumps on my head, yeah.
I think that you should be compensated for that. I think that Miss Salinas can't say, I was so upset. She's an adult. She's an adult gal. She can't say, I was so upset. I was overcome by the moment, and therefore I am entitled to assault you. She's not entitled to assault you.
Absolutely not. I agree.
Well, Mr. O'Shea, how much do you think that that assault was worth?
To me, $2,000 seemed fair.
Really? Were you planning on suing her?
No, I wasn't.
Well, then why, from not planning to sue her, to $2,000?
Because when things turned ugly, because I didn't have her arrested because I didn't want to handle it that way. And when I
Right.
found out that I was being sued, I felt I should protect myself to the best of my ability. And I already felt that I'd pretty much let her, I mean, the only person that committed a crime here was her.
That's true. So I think that the airfare that she spent getting her dog is going to be her responsibility. So I'm deducting $400. That's your responsibility, which ordinarily you would have gotten. But the cost of the dog you're going to get. Judgment for the plaintiff, because I'm deducting that amount. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200, which is the cost of a new pet. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is a liar because when I did call him the next day, I did apologize and he said, Jen, don't worry about it. I understand.
He's my next door neighbor, and I really didn't want to cause a really ugly situation.
I just think it's ironic that if he felt he was assaulted, that he filed his countersuit or counterclaim
3 days ago.
We're still neighbors, but I don't think we're going to be too neighborly.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Brooks. Step forward, please.
25-year-old hairstylist Jamie Ginsburg Schneider and her husband, Richard Schneider, are suing their neighbor, insurance agent Aaron Brooks, for destroying their entertainment system. The Schneiders say Aaron was watching their home while they were on vacation.
Mr. Schneider, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
That's correct, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you went away on vacation. Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a house sitter there to take care of your dogs, and the defendant volunteered also to check on the dogs in the evening.
That's
She had a key to your apartment. According to you, when you came a time when you discovered that some entertainment equipment was either damaged and or missing, or was substantial loss on your part for this entertainment equipment, some sort of game station, television receiver. Ms. Brooks says that there was a terrible storm. And when she came down to check on
The dog.
the dogs, she also checked on the
Equipment, lights, everything.
and she found that the equipment wasn't working, so she took it up to her house, right?
Correct.
To do something with it. And she immediately, when questioned about it, put it back, and she doesn't know anything, right?
Correct.
Can I see the estimates for the damage?
Yes, ma'am. The first one is the original receipt for the game center. That was the replacement receipt, and this
Just
next
give me what it cost to replace it.
I believe the totals came to about $1,533.
Mhm.
The game station was $213.
Right.
A television, $250. And for the replacement home theater, it came to $770.91.
What's the home theater?
That includes a home theater receiver as well as speakers, speaker wire.
Well, was all that destroyed?
No, ma'am, it wasn't destroyed. However, the speakers that went with the original one were incompatible with the newer model to replace that actual home theater receiver, so they needed to be purchased in order to work with the new receiver.
So my question to you, Ms. Brooks, is you had an agreement that you would come in the evening and check on the dogs.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes.
What were you thinking about putting your hands on any of their equipment?
Well, we went in, Candace would watch TV there every night. I would go in and sit with the dog there and bring it up to my apartment.
Bring what up to your apartment?
The dog.
So you brought the dog up to your apartment. It's not what I asked you. You took entertainment equipment from their house to your house, and I'm asking you why.
Well, because all the lights were out and nothing was working in the apartment, and
So?
same thing in mine. So I did check their stuff. The Xbox would not come on. Everything else did.
Why did you take it to your apartment?
I wanted to see if it would work up there. I did not know what was wrong, and I just checked
Well,
it.
they didn't ask you to do that.
Well, I know that, but I took it upon myself to do that. There was other people in the apartment. 3 other people had keys.
That's okay.
It was 2
Just a second. I don't care. Other people did not take equipment. I mean, that's burglary. Madam, you had no permission to do that. You had limited permission. Your limited permission was to enter the house to look after the dogs. You had no permission to check the equipment. You had no permission to touch the equipment. No permission to remove it from the armoire where it had been housed. No permission to take it up to your apartment. No permission to try to see if it worked in your apartment. You had no permission to do that. That's burglary. What?
Miss Brooks also told us when we got home and noticed all the damage that she was entertaining friends the night that she took the equipment out of the house, and she did not want to bring the friends into our apartment for fear of something happening. So she decided to take the stuff upstairs to her house. That way they could use it in her apartment instead of being in ours.
And you had this conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, what?
I did tell her that.
Why did you tell her that?
Because I was honest with her when I called her, and she
So then
called
why
me.
did you just give me this story that you didn't take the stuff up there, you just took it up to see if it worked in your apartment?
I did. Well, we did have people over there. We
So
went
you were
down there
playing
together.
with the equipment?
Yeah, we used it.
An idiot. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,233. That's all.
This is case number 221 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Deal. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Ms. Collins, you and the defendant were engaged. It is your claim that he purchased an engagement ring for you, an engagement ring set for you, bought it on your credit card. The engagement is over, the relationship is over, you want the rings back, or you want him to pay off the credit card. Is that what you want? He says you actually took the rings back. He doesn't have possession of the rings, you have them, and he is counterclaiming for some medical bills that he says he paid for you. There was an agreement that you would pay him back, and you never did. Is that right, sir?
That's right.
Who's got the rings?
I do not have the rings with me.
But you have them at home?
No, I do not have the rings at all.
Did you take the rings back from his house?
No, I did not. He has the rings. I'm making payments on the rings. Supposedly, I took the rings. I did not take the rings.
Let's start so we don't have to go back to the year of the flood. You're engaged, you're happy, you're together, buys the rings using her store credit. And then you break up. On what date did you break up?
I'd say the end of August.
And who had the rings at that time?
I did. I was making payments. The agreement was if I had the rings, I was going to pay for them.
So she gave you back the ring?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Now tell me about how the rings came from your possession to her possession.
Okay, first of all, she was wearing some of the rings that she took from my house. July 15th through the 17th, she had a fight with her boyfriend. She thought they were breaking up or something like that. So she came over after work, and we started talking. One thing led to another, we had sex. I went to the kitchen to get some water. She ran down the hall, locked herself in my room. She knew exactly where the rings were. When I went there, the door was locked. I had to go in the other room and get my spare key to get it out. Those rings right there were in the room. Same thing. I said, you know, I'm not going to pay for them if you have them. That's you know, why pay for something you don't have? That's my whole thing. She said, fine. She thought because we had sex that everything was going to be okay. She was going to like, oh, next month he's going to pay because we had sex. And I'm tired of getting used by her. That's all she does. She just uses people.
There's no way I could have gone to his room. He locks his room with a key. My mother can vouch for that because she came over one day where his room was locked. His room was always locked. Always. There's no way I could have stormed down his hallway and went in his room.
When I am home, I don't lock my house. I don't lock my room. When I'm away, I lock my room. That's plain and simple. I have roommates. Everyone goes in and out.
You broke up when?
The 4th.
April?
Yeah, April.
April. And so you made payments in May?
Yeah, I was making payments all the way through.
Made payments in June? And made payments in July?
That is correct.
And in July 15th to 17th, I gather there's no issue that you were at his house.
I was not at his house, and I did not sleep with him. I have not been at his house for probably close to 4 months.
Do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I have my mother. She can testify about the rings with the conversation she had with him.
Oh, let me hear what you have to say about the rings. What's your last name, Collins?
Jared.
Tell me the conversation you had with the defendant about the rings.
After they had broke up and after they're purchasing the rings, Melissa would talk to Chuck every month to make sure that he was going to make the payment because it was her credit. And he said yes. Well, in June, they weren't getting along very well. And she had told Chuck that she would like to have her rings back because she's tired of dealing with him every month and having to call to see if he's going to make the payments because it's her responsibility. And she said, if you don't give me my rings back, I'm just going to go to court because it's my account and I'm responsible for the loan. Chuck called me on my cell phone in June on my way to work left me a message, a very lengthy message, that Melissa called him, said that she wanted her rings back. He didn't understand why I'm making the payments. She said she's threatened to take me to court. I don't understand why I'm making the payments. And then that was when the next day she had called me and said that Chuck had called her and said yes, but he, of course, at that point said that she had stolen the rings. But then he made the payments in July and August.
So what you're saying is they broke up in April, but sometime in June, she said, I want the rings back.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Even though he was making the payments, she said, I want the rings back.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. She took them. Sit down.
I
Your
did
claim
not
is
take
dismissed. Now I'm going to your counterclaim. You want to tell me about this surgery that you're talking about?
I like to go to Tahoe about every month. I took her to go to Tahoe, and on the way back we saw a sign for surgery, I guess. She said she wanted to get them done. I said, okay, that's fine. I was all, will you pay me back? She said, yes, I will. The only way that she could get them done is if I had to trick her mom and say it was a gift. That's the only way. Because her mom would not have let her done it.
Never.
Shh. So we're on the way, we get there, and she goes, I swear I'll pay you back $100 a month. I say, okay, that's fine. Every month she...
When was this?
September 13, 2001.
Okay. And then you became engaged in October.
Yeah, yes,
Is that right?
that is correct.
In September, did she give you any money?
No, she didn't.
In October, did she give you any money?
No, she didn't.
November?
No.
December?
No, she didn't
January?
give me anything. She didn't give me anything.
Listen to me. January?
No.
February?
No.
March?
No.
April, you broke up.
Yes.
You became engaged in October,
Yes.
right? Bought her rings in October.
Yes.
Did you ever live together?
Yes, we did.
From when to when?
October to the February.
And the kind of surgery she had was cosmetic surgery. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
I hope you enjoyed it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wants everything, to not pay for anything.
He's a liar. He's always going to be a liar. If I had the rings, I wouldn't be here.
She's a cheater. She always cheats. She can't keep a steady boyfriend.
He's crazy. He's psycho. He's a liar.
I'm just happy it's over. I don't want to deal with her anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Leonard versus Norris. Step forward, please.
23-year-old bartender Amanda Leonard is suing her boyfriend's estranged wife, 22-year-old market research analyst Jennifer Norris, for harassment.
Miss Leonard, you are in the process of dating the defendant's present husband, soon to be her ex-husband, and it is your claim that the defendant has been harassing you. 30 seconds or less. Tell me how she's harassing you.
Yes, ma'am. It started a long time ago. After they broke up, she cheated on her husband and moved to Reno before we ever started dating. I have a tape, I have an audio tape of the very last message she left me after I had told her that I had already made a police report on her. She's
fine, I'll hear it. Why did you say such nasty things to her, Miss Norris?
And that's
I know I made these harassing calls, and I know it was wrong.
Why didn't you acknowledge that when you filed your answer in this case, Miss Norris?
I was very, very angry.
Why were you angry?
She was my friend, and I kept telling her, you know, I feel like Travis is cheating on me. I feel like something's going on with somebody else. And I never told her that I thought it was her because I didn't want to make her feel awkward, you know. And then it was her. And they had been together for, in my mind, I'm thinking about a year that they were messing around. And he kept telling me, no, I'm just selling drugs to her because he's, you know, they are drug addicts and stuff. And I was very angry because I thought she was my friend. And I realized that that was the wrong thing to do, was call and make those things.
When was the last time you made a harassing call to her?
I don't even remember the last time.
When was the last time?
This last message was made on the 31st, I believe, of September.
Of this year?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I live in Reno, Nevada. I have no reason, you know, I live 3 states away.
Doesn't make any difference. Phones reach 3 states away.
I didn't call her. I mean, that's fine if, you know, that's what they're saying.
You have to stop.
I have
to. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to stop.
Yes, ma'am.
It's finished.
Yes, I realize that.
Over.
I realize that.
What else?
She also threatened my family. She threatened my mother. She threatened all of my friends. She threatened to put antifreeze in my dog's food bowl. She threatened to key my car and slash my tires.
Did she do any of those things?
She didn't do any of those things.
Good. And she's not going to do any of those things. So she's not going to call you anymore. So I want you to be happy in your new life.
I am.
She's not going to bother you anymore. You don't bother her anymore. They're going to get a divorce when?
January 17th. But I have a question. We are not legally separated. There's no paperwork. And I can call over there to speak to my husband.
No,
I have
don't
the
call.
right to.
Listen to me. What do you want to talk to him about? Do
A
you have children?
divorce.
Just a minute. Do you have children together?
No.
Do you have a lawyer?
Yes, I do.
Then whatever you want to say to him, you say through your lawyer.
I just want the divorce done, and they won't
Just listen
help
to
me.
Who won't help you?
They won't, like, go do anything. They won't go file the papers, nothing. And I'm like, I live in Nevada, so I have to wait. In January, it'll be 6 months I've been there, so I will have residency so I can get a divorce there.
Fine, Miss Norris. And that's what you do.
That's what I'm trying
Listen
to
to
do.
me. She would probably like you to have a divorce. I'm speaking. She would probably like you to have a divorce. He's not so anxious. He's not so anxious because she wants to get married, right?
Well, eventually, hopefully.
You say eventually, hopefully. Me? She would like to get married tomorrow.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm not talking to you.
About me, though?
Sort of. Sort of. But I didn't require an answer because I wasn't talking to you. In any event, Miss Norris, in January, which is right around the corner, you are going to be able to get a divorce whether they are cooperative or not. Don't call him. That's holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore. Move on!
I have definitely
Good.
moved on.
Goodbye.
Now, this is case number 196 on the calendar in the matter of Kleiser versus Stewart. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Thanks, Bert.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kleiser, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. The wedding was called off because Miss Stewart had a change of heart, I gather. And you want certain things returned. A loan that you allegedly made to her. A wedding dress that was purchased, I assume, with your money. And the setting for her engagement ring, because you had a diamond that she previously owned, set by a jeweler. I assume she still has the ring.
That's correct.
All right, let's deal with simple things first. How much was the wedding dress?
It was $2.99, and there was a garment bag that cost $10.
Now, who paid for that?
That was on my credit card.
So you're still paying for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get the wedding dress physically from the store?
Yes, we did.
Who returned it to the store?
I returned it to the store.
Is that what you wanted him to do, return it to the store?
Yeah, he took it. He said he wanted it back, and he was going to return it for credit. And he wanted me to take the credit. But
that sounds right.
I didn't return it. He took it back.
Well, what were you going to do with it?
I wasn't going to do anything with it. I wanted him to take it back.
Fine, then you have to pay for it. The wedding dress is your responsibility. If you changed your mind, there is certainly, if he had gotten it to... If he had gotten a tuxedo for the wedding, and he called off the wedding, and the tuxedo was put on your credit card, do you think that it would have been right, would be right for you to pay for his tuxedo?
Well, if I kept the dress, I could understand that I would need to
No,
pay
you're not
for
going to
it.
keep the dress. You're going to get a credit. So the next time you decide to get married, you can go and buy a new dress and pick out a new dress at the same place where you picked out this dress.
Okay, but I
Do you
have
understand?
no,
You
I
have
have
no
no
what?
plans to get married, so I
Well, I
don't
want to explain
need it.
something to you. Does the place that make wedding dresses also make tuxedos?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't be coy with me.
They do.
They make wedding dresses and bridesmaids' dresses and mother of the bride's dresses. So the likelihood of him getting married in a bridal dress are much less likely than you're getting married again and choosing another wedding dress. That be reasonable? You owe him $309. Now, let's take care of the setting on the ring. She used her own diamond. Is there any reason why you didn't buy her a diamond?
She offered to put it into a wedding band. That way it would save some money.
Fine. Well, that sounds like a very good idea. And you paid how much for that?
$250 for
Right.
the ring, and then for the labor to set it, it was $50.
Where's the ring?
I didn't bring it with me.
Fine. This is what I want you to do. Take the diamond out of the ring and give him back the gold in 5 days. You owe him $309. I'm taking off $25 because the most somebody's going to charge you to take out the stone is $25.
Okay. Now, so then do I get that credit for the bridal store, the $300 credit?
Oh, yeah, he's going to give you the credit. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You have it with you?
I have it right here.
Perfect. Give it to her.
There it is.
So now we're easy with that. Take care of those two things. Wedding dress and setting. Now let's get to the loan. Talk to me.
She had asked me to put a computer on my credit card. The credit card was Best Buy. They had a no-interest
Were you
finance.
living together or just...
We were just dating at the time.
Okay, go ahead.
There was also a camera put on the same thing. She didn't have the credit herself, so I put it all on the
Camera
same.
for?
She wanted a Canon camera. It was also with no interest financing. It was something she wanted. So I put everything on the credit card, and we had agreed on a certain amount to pay off every month.
No, tell me about it.
Agreement was
Look at me.
every month she would make payments basically on the 15th of each month. The total amount would be about $130. She made one payment in March. Everything sort of happened with the wedding being called off, and that sort of put an end to all that, and then she decided that everything was just basically a gift.
Now, you see how quiet you've been? Let's hear about the computer.
Okay, the computer, I had a little laptop computer that wasn't compatible with any of the printers because the UB...
Don't tell me about computers and things that they exchange back and forth. I don't understand that.
He had said that I should get a new computer, and I told him I couldn't afford a new computer. I was going to school, and so he had been looking at the Best Buy ads, and he said right now that there was zero financing, and he had purchased a TV, I believe, at the zero financing, and he said we should go look at them. And so we went and looked at them, and they were, they had good deals on them, but I couldn't afford it, and he knew that. I told him I couldn't afford it. I'm a single mom. I'm going to school, and he said, don't worry about it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe she doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
And later today,
the phone rings, and I pick it up, and she goes, well, I was just letting you know, if you call my woman again, I'm going to F you up. And it was her girlfriend, Tony, calling.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Keith Kleiser says ex-fiancée Katara Stewart owes for her engagement ring, wedding dress, and an unpaid loan.
What about the camera?
I needed a camera for a photography class that we were doing, and he had brought that home to his house and gave it to me as a gift. He handed it in the box, and he said, he gave it to me and said, have fun with this.
Did you pick out the camera?
No, I was not with him when he got the camera. He brought it. I was waiting at his house.
Now, what's this $118 payment that you made to him?
That was actually for insurance, because I was borrowing his car, and I told him that I would make the insurance payment, and that was an insurance payment. It wasn't any payment for a computer or camera. It was for
He
the
wants to
insurance.
show me something that's different. Let me see what you have, sir.
I've got a breakdown of everything, how it became, what the payment was. The camera was included.
All right,
in
all
the
I want to see is I don't want to see what you wrote out here. I thought you had a.
There is
I
a
thought
check
you had a
there
check.
for it. That is my check.
When was the stuff purchased? March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Both the computer and the camera were purchased on March 3rd?
The camera was purchased in January. It was originally intended to be a gift. She told me that she couldn't accept a gift of this magnitude. It was just too much, and she wanted to make payments.
Get a life. Give that back to him. Give it back to him, Bird. Just cooked his own goose. All right, so the camera was in January, and it was originally purchased as a gift, but then she said, I can't take it because it's too expensive to give. Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct.
Sir, get a life. Get a life. You lie once, you don't get a second chance. You're getting back the setting for your ring and $284. You've given her the credit for $309, which she now has. Okay? But you are entitled to that money so that you can put it back into your bank and you can pay off your credit card bill. But I've deducted $25 from that wedding dress so that she can go to a jeweler and have the jeweler take out the stone and return the setting to you so that you can go and sell the gold. Do you understand what I've done?
There's no need to do that.
Why?
Really, to take the diamond out of a ring, there's really no point in doing that. It does me no good.
Well, what did you want? You're not entitled to have her pay you for it.
I don't want to have her take a ring completely apart and have no use for it, because I don't have use
Maybe
for
she
it.
doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
That's up to
So
you.
you're going to get $284. $309 less $25. That's judgment for the plaintiff. With regard to the other things, I find they were, in fact, gifts. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was very unreasonable about trying to settle anything.
I had a buyer for the computer. I was all set to go. She refused to give it back.
When people get hurt, you can't try and get money back.
It didn't have to go this far. It really didn't.
It just wasn't there to get married.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stavitsky versus Pickett. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Karen Stavitsky is suing her best friend's estranged husband, technician Tim Pickett, for an unpaid loan for an engagement ring.
Miss Stavitsky, the defendant became engaged and then married your best friend.
That's correct.
Is that your best friend?
Yes.
So you and the defendant were married at some point, or still are married, but in the process of divorcing.
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
When did you become engaged, sir?
December 21st, I believe it was.
Of what year?
1999.
And you wanted to buy your fiancé an engagement ring,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you didn't have enough money, so that the plaintiff lent you some money.
Yes.
How much money did she lend you?
$1,678.95.
Is that the total amount of the ring that was purchased?
Yes.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her with regard to her making this loan to you.
Well, we had come to an agreement that I would pay her $100 a month until the ring was paid off.
She was very nice.
Yes.
Well, the lawsuit is all about this. They got married. When did you get married?
June 17th of 2000.
And you were making payments on the ring.
Yes.
You still owe some money on the ring.
Yes.
And you say, I'm not paying for it anymore. Right?
Correct.
Get it from her. That's your position.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to me how that works.
Not long after the marriage, we were having financial difficulty, and Karen was aware of this, and we had talked, and she agreed that what I could pay her as often as I could, I would. Since the divorce was filed, I haven't been able to make any payments because of the payments that I'm making as far as covering bills and child support, and now Karen has filed suit against me for the outcoming of the ring.
Well, why should she be out the money?
Well, she shouldn't be out the money, Your Honor, but the cause of the divorce, I mean, my children were verbally assaulted, and I'm sorry, I don't stand for that type of treatment to children, so I had to leave the home.
Well, your wife's not the plaintiff in this case. She's the plaintiff. She was a nice person. She lent you money so that you could buy a ring because you were in love with this girl. You wanted to give her a ring. You said, I don't have the money. Lend it to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
She lent it to you.
Right.
And now you're in your answer. You say, I don't have the marriage. I don't have the ring. I don't get to look at the ring.
Well,
and therefore, I don't have to pay for the ring. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I've requested that the ring be given back or to be sold to pay off the loan on the ring.
I know that's what you requested, but why do you think that you're entitled to that?
As far as the wedding ring to me, Your Honor, it represents...
Engagement ring, not wedding ring.
Well, it's an engagement wedding ring set.
Okay.
Is honor, trust, which was broken in the marriage.
By her?
No. That's why I requested the ring back, so it could be sold to pay...
You don't get
Karen
it
the
back.
money.
You don't get an engagement ring back once you've been married. You get an engagement ring back if you're not married. An engagement ring is given in contemplation of getting married. It has always been my position that if the engagement is broken, whosever fault that is, the ring goes back to the person who gave the ring because there's no contract. But once you get married, what you're suggesting is all those people who get divorced, the ex-husbands get back the engagement ring, whether they're married for a year or 2 years or 25 years or 30 years or 50 years, they get back the engagement ring. Is that your position?
Yes.
Wrong! How much does he owe you on the ring?
$978.95.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
But she was not just a total innocent victim.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hinkle versus Burkhardt. Step forward, please.
24-year-old teacher Tanya Hinkle is suing her ex-fiancé, construction worker Shane Burkhardt, for the cost of a reception hall and for the cost of a wedding dress.
Miss Hinkle, you and the defendant were engaged. He broke off the engagement according to your complaint. You want him to pay for some expenses that were incurred by you or your mother, down payment on a hall, dress, etc. And you want the paperwork on your engagement ring.
Yes.
What are you doing with the engagement ring?
I was going to try to sell it.
Why?
So that I could pay off the rest of the wedding. But I can't get the paperwork because the defendant won't give it to me.
Why should he give it to you? You're supposed to give the engagement ring back to him.
Yeah, well, he proposed to me and broke it off.
So what?
So I thought it was a gift.
No. An engagement ring is a ring given in contemplation of you two getting married. And if he broke it off, there must have been a reason that he had doubts. Even if he had no reason to have doubts, it was good that he decided to call it off before he married you, if he wasn't going to be a good husband. The ring goes back to him. There's no issue with regard to that. I mean, once you're married, and if you're divorced, well, then the contract has been fulfilled. You were married, the engagement ring stays with you. But before the wedding, it goes back to him. Where is it? Can I see it, please? It's lovely. Give it to him. You still paying it off?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much was it?
The total was $27.95, I think, was the total on it.
And if you go to sell it, how much do you think you're going to get for it?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it.
Maybe
Never-
half.
Never tried, yeah. Possibly.
Maybe. You never get,
Possibly half, yeah.
unless you're dealing with the Hope Diamond.
Right.
You know, they usually don't appreciate in value.
Right.
Everybody makes a profit. You go to sell it. Maybe you're lucky if you get half. So you're going to be out probably $1,400.
Right.
That's you on the negative side. And how much did you spend on the wedding so far?
$1146.92.
So you don't want to have to pay him any money, do you?
No.
Good. So we're going to call it even, and you're all going to go home, and you're going to say, lucky, we called it off when we should have. He lost $1,400 on the ring. You lost $1,100 on the wedding expenses. Goodbye and good luck. Thank you.
99 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Escada. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I'm really a little confused with this case, but we're going to make sense of it. Miss Jones, you're suing her because you say she filed false charges against you of hit and run.
Yes.
The hit and run was not against her person, but against a car that she was driving in.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
There was an incident involving the defendant.
Yes, there was.
First, tell me when the incident happened.
The exact day, it was on or about May 1st.
Tell me about it.
I was moving back into my home, and
you were moving back into your home from where?
From a corporate leasing unit.
Okay.
I rented a 26-foot U-Haul truck. I asked the guy to help me move, and he knew the defendant's boyfriend.
Did you know this person?
Not personally, no.
How did you find this person?
Just through verbal acquaintance, just seeing him around town. He's a handyman.
What's his name?
Michael Alexander.
So you asked Michael if he would help you move?
Yes. He then got the two other guys and said, you know, they were good workers and they will also help because I had a lot of furniture.
Okay, so there were going to be 3 men.
3 men.
And you rented the U-Haul?
And I rented the U-Haul.
Where did you pick them up?
I picked them up on 3rd Street East in Lancaster, California at Michael's home.
What happened the second day?
The following day, we had agreed the previous night to meet back at Michael's house early in the morning. I did so. I arrived.
So you, again, went back to Michael's house to pick up the 3 guys?
To pick up the 3 guys. As the one of the guys was walking out, he was arguing with someone in the house. I asked him, was he okay? Did he need to stay back? He said, no, let's go. So all 4 of us got into the truck. I drove off. Went back to the house, unloaded the truck. Later on that day, I was going down Avenue K, headed westbound. He spotted his girlfriend.
Were the 3 men still in the truck?
The 3 men are in the truck. I'm driving down Avenue K, which is a main street. I'm heading westbound. He spotted his girlfriend, which apparently is a defendant.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Never laid eyes on her before that day? Go ahead.
And he makes a comment to another guy. He said, oh, there she goes. She's about to turn around. I quickly glanced in my rearview mirror. I didn't really see anything. A few seconds later, she was behind me on my left-hand side, honking her horn and motioning me to pull over.
What kind of car was she in?
A little blue Toyota Tercel, something compact and small.
Now, how was she telling you to pull over?
Honking her horn and motioning like this. And so then I asked the guy, I said, do you want me to pull over? He said, no, she just wants to argue, just keep going. So I did. A few seconds later, she's now on the right side of the truck.
She's on the passenger side of the truck?
On the passenger side of the truck. Okay, she just got over. She's doing the same thing. And I asked him again, I said, are you sure? He said, no, keep on, she'll eventually pass. And I said, okay, fine. So I keep driving. She was yelling and screaming.
What was she yelling?
You know, she was yelling profanities at him.
At him, not at you?
Not at me, okay? Not at first. When she got closer to the window, though, to where, because it was a long truck, when she got closer to the window, she did call me a B. But prior to that, she was, you know, on the side of the truck yelling and screaming at him, and they flipped it. I don't know. She flipped him off, and then he flipped her back off. So then they had a flipping off match, okay? And so I kept driving, and that was that. I moved all that day, you know, nothing. And the following day, I got a call from the Palmdale Sheriff's Department, said that they wanted to come look at the vehicle because they had been involved in a hit and run.
First of all, who was that guy?
Speak not until I speak to you. So it is your testimony
Yes.
that at no time did you ever hit her or hit her car?
Whatsoever.
Now, were you ever arrested?
No.
What happened?
The officer came to my house. He took a photograph of me. He told me to wait there at my house, that he was going to take the picture to her. if she verified that it was me, that he was going to come back and arrest me for me not to go anywhere, to stay home that day. And I did. I was moving anyway. He never came back that day. I didn't hear anything, so I figured, okay, it's all taken care of. About a month later, I get a notice in the mail from the DMV stating that someone has inquired as to my driving record. Then I get a letter from the Sheriff's Department stating that I need to appear in court on charges of a hit and run and property damage. And
do you have a copy of that letter?
I don't have a copy of the letter, but I was summoned to court.
You have a copy of the summons?
No, this is the court dates and the days I appeared in court.
Am I correct, Miss Jones, that the trial in this case commenced? Jury was selected.
Yes.
The first witness was called by the people.
Yes.
That was this lady right here.
Yes.
The second witness that was called was her mother. I assume that's you.
Mother-in-law.
You're not her mother, are you?
No.
Then be quiet. Then the matter was adjourned.
Yes.
And when everybody came back, the district attorney moved to dismiss the case.
Yes.
The district attorney moved before you even had an opportunity to put on your case. At the end of their case, the district attorney said, we move to dismiss in the furtherance of justice. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, this report says that they found on your U-Haul a smudge of blue paint that was consistent with the blue paint on the car, her car.
Yes.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. When she got on the right-hand side of the truck and she was driving and cussing and carrying on, she skinned the side of the truck. At 35 miles an hour, she claimed that I hit her, that she skid and collided with me at 35 miles an hour.
I read what she said.
Okay, these are the photos.
I read the exact statement she gave to the police, which contained no information about her boyfriend being in the car, anything like that. As far as her statement to the police was concerned, you were total strangers and you totaled her car, and so may I see the photographs that you have?
In the photographs, you will see her car. The hood of it is dented and the grill is missing, but she admitted in court that that was damage that was done previously. That was not damage caused by the U-Haul. At 35 miles an hour, she wouldn't have had a front.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear you.
On May 1st, I was coming from east side. All of a sudden, I see this U-Haul truck approaching me on the opposite side. She turned to the left. I just put the steering wheel a little bit to the right. That's why she hit the car. I have my pictures right here. On the side, you can see that's when she hit it.
What's your boyfriend's name, or what was his name?
Gino.
Gino. Was Gino in the U-Haul?
No.
Really? She says there was a person driving in the car who you knew. Is that true?
No. I don't know what.
Really?
I don't know
Ms. Jones.
what she's talking about.
Yes.
I don't know who's this guy. No.
You know who that person is?
No. Even when I went to trial, they asked me. I didn't know him.
What about Michael?
Yes, I know. That's the guy I knew.
You have Michael's telephone number?
Yes, I do.
I'll take it.
One.
Now, why do you believe that the district attorney moved to dismiss the case after you and your mother testified?
I don't know.
You have no idea? All right. What's your name, by the way?
Gino.
Gino! You weren't in the U-Haul at that day, were you?
Nope. And I've been with her for 19 months.
Okay. Well, let me go see if I can get in touch with Michael.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Jones says Martha Escada falsely accused her of hit and run. She claims Martha was trying to pull a scam.
Well, Michael isn't there, but maybe I can get some information from the district attorney. By the way, do you have any photographs of your cars?
Yes, and I have another question. Who's this guy that she's telling you that that guy knew me? I want to see this guy, and I want to see if he is telling the truth. I don't know this guy. I don't know what she's talking about. I mean, bring the guy, tell me to my face that he knew me, and I'll tell to his face that I knew him too.
The question is not whether this guy knew you, madam. The question is whether you pulled up on the side of her truck. There was somebody in the car that you wanted to talk to, that she wouldn't pull over, and then you claimed that she hit your vehicle and took off. She says that the U-Haul did, in fact, come in contact with your car, but it was because you were driving like a nut. So
Nope.
I want to see what the district attorney
That
has
is
to say.
not
If
true.
I can find the district attorney's name here, Richard Quinones. Let's see if we can locate him. And you have the paperwork while we're getting, see if we can get the
I have the
number. You
police
have
report right
paperwork?
here, and I have pictures of my car.
Okay, let me see.
Also wanted to show the character when the police went to serve her. She said they didn't live there, and they do.
They didn't live where?
Initially, when they went to serve her, and she said, "Oh, no one's here by that name. No one
Okay,
lives
about
here."
that.
And then the 10 days, my lost in pay, I brought my pay stub.
Just a second.
Okay.
I have to first find out whether these are false charges.
Okay.
That's what I have to find out.
Okay.
Do you understand?
All right. Yes, I do.
I mean, I wish I could get in touch with old Michael. That would make things easy. But since I can't, and you don't know the names of any of the other people.
No, I don't.
Okay. Oh, why don't you have a seat?
Is it okay if I...
Yes, is Mr. Quinones there,
Yo
please?
estaba discutiendo con ellos y yo me puse a un lado de ella.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. I haven't been able to reach either the district attorney at this hour, nor Mr. Alexander, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So I want you to just hang around, and I'll see you back here as soon as we are able to get either one of these two people who should be
Okay, I
able
just
to
gave him
give.
his cell phone number.
You have a cell phone number for whom?
Michael Alexander.
Oh, that's perfect. Maybe we can do that. Yes.
When they went to serve me to that address, I moved since December. So I don't live in that address anymore. I live in Lake LA.
It's not important. Why is that important?
Because she said that when they went looking for me at that address, somebody told the police officer that...
And I
no
told her
one-
that wasn't important.
Okay.
The only thing that's important to me is whether or not you knew or appeared to have known someone who was driving in the truck with her on that date. And I would be also curious to find out why the district attorney moved on their own motion to dismiss this case after you and your mother testified. So we'll see you back here.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I managed to speak to the assistant district attorney who handled the case. And after speaking to the assistant district attorney, he did in fact confirm to me that after the two of you testified, he decided to go out and have a personal look at the car that you say was damaged by the plaintiff. And after he made this personal inspection of the car, he believed that the damages to the car were inconsistent with the testimony that the two of you gave in court before she even had to put on her case. So he doubted your word, especially yours. That's number one. Number two, we were in fact successful in securing Michael Alexander's presence here for the recall. So, Bert, I believe Mr. Alexander is outside. Would you bring him in, please?
Sure thing, Judy. Michael Alexander?
Would you swear the witness, please?
Sure thing. Sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matters before you?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record.
Michael Alexander.
Mr. Alexander, prior to coming into court just now, did you speak to Miss Jones?
Yes.
Did she tell you the questions that she thought I would be asking you?
No.
Okay. You helped her move sometime in, when was it, May?
Yes.
And you had a couple of other people that you had gotten to help
Yes,
her?
ma'am.
Who were those other people?
Keith and Jose.
Do you know their last names?
No. I met them at labor.
There came a time that Miss Jones came to your house to pick you up.
Yes.
And these two other men were with you in the truck, and you moved one day.
Yes.
Do you remember the second day of your move?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember an incident involving this young lady right here?
Yes.
Look at me and tell me what you remember.
Well, I remember that we was traveling down Avenue K after we dropped off her furniture at her house and was headed back to the storage. And Jose said, that's my girlfriend. And I seen her throw a U-turn.
Jose, put your hand down. Jose said, that's my girlfriend.
Yes.
Where was she when he said, that's my girlfriend?
She was headed east coming down Avenue K.
And what happened next?
She threw a U-turn, and she came up on the U-Haul, and she was driving all erratic and fast. She was flashing her lights and blowing her horn and doing hand signals up out the window. And
did Jose say anything to her?
He said, well, she asked him, do you want me to pull over? And he said, no, don't stop. She just wanted to argue. And so we kept going.
Did you see Jose after the move? Have you seen him since?
No.
Have not?
No, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this was the young lady in the car?
No.
Look at me. What color car was she driving?
Blue.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any questions for Mr. Alexander, you can ask me and I will ask him.
Okay. Who is this guy, Jose? I don't know nobody by that name, Jose. And I'm not going to let these people get away with it because they're lying. No. I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Miss Jones, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for a very long time. And I'll tell you right now, very rarely does a district attorney who takes a case to trial, impanels a jury of 12 people, wastes court time, expends time in preparing a case. Very rarely does a district attorney stand up at the end of their case and say, we don't believe our witnesses to the extent that we're moving to dismiss this case because we don't even want it to go any further. I mean, maybe on one hand I can remember that amount of time. This district attorney didn't believe you, didn't believe your mother about what happened. And I don't know who Jose is, but I certainly see the pictures of your car, and I've listened to her testify. I believe her. That's all I have to believe. I believe that you were having some sort of an argument with a guy who was in that U-Haul it, and you were behaving erratically. She wouldn't pull over. You got ticked off. You called, and I believe that there was contact with the U-Haul. There's no question in my mind that there was contact with the U-Haul. It was your fault. And maybe you thought you could make a couple of bucks. No. That's what I think. That's what I think. And the fact that you called the police. Have you ever been incarcerated before, Miss Jones?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an accountant.
I think that not only did you cause her trouble, because I looked at how many times she had to appear in court based upon your phone call to the police that was fraudulent. She had to appear in court. She had to be embarrassed. There's a certain embarrassment.
Huh.